looking good. How we doing, Sean? Mr.
Well, good
Synchrony?
evening
There
and
you go.
welcome to the newest battleground for is the Modern Streamers League, brought to you on coming up tonight. We're going to see the first of 10 weeks as some of the best modern streamers get together to battle it out over Magic's most populous non-rotating format. We'll meet the founder of the Modern Streamers League, and we'll see 5 great matches to get us started here on night 1 of week 1. This is all being done for charity and, of course, to supply the needed brain power in the arms race that is Modern. I'm Sean Stevens. I'm joined by Guano Maestro, a
That's
popular
me.
Modern streamer. Guano is going to help provide some color, some analysis tonight as we move along. How was the stream today, Guano? Are you ready for this tonight?
Yeah, it was amazing, actually. I got to play Spider Space's Thalia Stompy deck. Really nice. He helped me 5-0, which is great. I love when people help me 5-0. But yeah, we're just going to make things happen tonight. I'm really excited about all these teams. And I mean, everybody on these teams is a way better Magic player than me. I probably neck decked all of them at least 15 times, at least. And I mean, that's kind of a part of my stream too. But I'm just excited that we're doing it for a good cause. And I mean, everything is looking amazing.
Now, you mentioned a good cause. We'll meet the teams, Team Fire and Team Ice, in just a minute. But this entire league is being run not only to add to the arms race that is Modern, sometimes in a playful way, sometimes in a much more tournament-focused way. And we'll talk about the formats coming up over the next 10 weeks as we move along here this evening. But I think it's important to note each team got together and picked a charity that they're going to be playing for. The players aren't going to take home any money. They are donating their time, they're donating their effort, all to help the charities that each team has picked. Team Fire has gotten behind A21. A21, you can check them out through the Twitch channel, and you can donate to your favorite team's charity as well just by clicking on the button. A21, Scott, this is an amazing outlet for everybody who's looking to end human trafficking around the world, which is an important issue. It's sad to say, even today, Guano.
Yeah, I mean, the two charities that Team Fire and Team Ice have chosen are definitely two worthy charities that are going to be getting some good dough coming from our players, from our viewers, from everybody involved. That's what this whole thing is about. There's no, I mean, the competition, I feel like, when you're playing for money, it's, people are into it, but when you're playing for charity, there's more just like a wholesome team. We all want to be together. We all want to do the things right for the charities and just make money forward for good causes. You talked about A21, right? Did you talk about the Cancer Research Institute?
That's who Team Ice is playing for.
That's correct. They are they're basically obviously researching the cure for cancer through immunotherapy, which is, I guess, the most promising cancer treatment we've found so far. All your support is going to help them make more cancer research available and more breakthroughs for cancers of all kinds. So that's what we want. We want more healthy, happy people.
And you can check out each team's charity in depth, and you can donate to them. It's up on the Twitch site, twitchtv.com. You can search for Modern Streamers League and get behind Team Fire or Team Ice as we roll things out tonight. Now, we're going to see the sort of, I don't want to say that the other 9 players aren't as weighty, but there are 2 sort of headliners on each team. And we're going to see that matchup coming up in just a bit here tonight. But we've also got a heavyweight match to get us out of the gates. And we're going to see Hellcat, Cat Light, take on GhostxEmpire here in our first match on the Modern Streamers League in just a moment. But Guano, let's run down the players on both sides. We mentioned Team Fire. They're sort of headlined by Caleb Shearer. Yes, the Caleb Shearer that you see at the top of Magic Fests, GPs, Pro Tours, known for playing Storm in any format that it's available and forcing it in others. He is certainly going to be an outstanding watch on Team Fire, and he's someone that a lot of people have been talking about leading up to opening night tonight.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is what it's about. The players that volunteered for this league are great Magic players, and that's really what we're doing here. We're trying to give you something that's different than other broadcasts, stuff that other people really aren't doing. We want to show you some big-time streamers that aren't, might not be WotC specifically people, but they're still really good, that you got to check them out. I mean, compared to me, it's like they're level 10, I'm level 2 at the best. So that's what we want. We want the best here. We want good games, happy play, and just good magic. That's what we're looking for.
I think I understand the point you were trying to make, Guano, but there's no need to deride yourself to prove how great our players are. We'll certainly see that play out over the next 10 weeks. It's going to be a Monday, Wednesday format, and we'll see half of each team each night. And so in addition to Caleb Shearer from Team Fire tonight, we're going to see Catlight, HellKatMTG. We're going to see Dido, who's going to bring an interesting deck that had fallen out of favor kind of with the Who Got craze lately. And I think this is going to be a player to watch for. It'll be Garrick Martwin is going to be later this evening on Team Fire. And then RJ Benson 13. He'll also be part of Team Fire tonight. And they're, of course, taking on Team Ice, led by what I consider to be our headline match tonight. We mentioned Caleb Shearer. Here's going to be taking on Cyrus corman-gill, coming up a little bit later during Modern Streamers League here this evening. And Guano, GhostxEmpire, we're going to see him take on Catlight in a minute. PuntthenWhine, part of Team Ice. DaviusMinimus as well. And KoDiamonds is here for them tonight. What about those two teams sort of sticks out to you as we look at the matchups coming up here this evening?
Well, it seems like most of the people on each team, they pick the decks that they're comfortable with. Did have one good conversation with It was with Noble Murloc today. He told me that his kid picked his deck for him. So I was kind of excited about that, getting the family involved. I always think people that are serious with Magic, it's really good to get your family involved at any level, just so they can kind of see what you're doing. And I love that he's brought his family kind of into the team mix. And it's just, that's what it's about. That we got a large, diverse group of decks on each team. It really just kind of naturally turned into a really fun-looking Magic tournament.
And I'm not surprised that Noble Murloc is the one who did that. This is a Magic player who was, a few years ago, hardcore into the scene, and now he's sort of transitioned into a different phase in Magic. He still loves to play and to test himself, but he's really sort of experiencing the game, I guess, in a different way at this point in his career. So not surprised that he's the one that got the kids involved and picked out the deck. He'll be part of the Wednesday night broadcast coming up. The rest of those teams for Team Fire, it's Capolo 42, my former podcast mate, Matt Hurley from the now, I guess, hiatus Tryhards podcast. VQWZX87, Yamakiller, and CyrusCG rounding out Team Fire. Again, they're playing for the charity A21, looking to end human trafficking around the world. And for Team Ice on Wednesday, it'll be F. Paulus, the Saint Doom, the Modern League founder, Spider Space, Noble Murloc, who we just mentioned, and SodecMTG. More of those coming up as we move through the evening here on the very first edition of the Modern Streamers League. And coming up after a couple of matches, we're going to be joined by the Saint Doom, who is the inspiration, who got the Modern Streamers League up and running now almost a year ago, started planning for this, lining things up. It's going to join us, for that match coming up in just a bit. Before we get to match one, though, Guano, there's only one thing left. We have to thank the outfits that made this possible. If you need cards online, Guano, when you're looking for cards and decks to play, I know Card Hoarder is an easy outlet for you, and they make a lot of things happen when you're playing Magic online.
They were the first place that I found when I first started playing, got back into Magic just like 3 years ago. And their product is amazing. They're super smooth. They help you. I mean, they have a chat thing where you can just go on. There's people waiting there to be like, oh, I have a problem with this order. They fix it for you right away. Everything you could ever want that's MTGO, you can definitely get it at cardhoarder.com.
And if you prefer the paper side of the game, they've got you covered there at Card Kingdom, helping the Modern Streamers League launch here this evening. Card Kingdom, if it's obscure or if it's in high demand, they're who I trust. I literally just got done with a double order for a tournament that I'm attending in a couple of weeks. And I don't really get into like the crazy foils, except for one particular deck that's sort of been like my personal Sean's deck of happiness and joy, if you will, that I get all these obscure foils for. They not only have them, but they're not like ripping me off for them either. So I get a lot of my stuff through Card Kingdom. Love them. And if you're looking to sell cards, they're great with that too. Guano, first match of the Modern Streamers League. Thanks to you behind the scenes. You've made a lot of this happen, but now we get to have fun and roll it out. Hellcat on Blue Red Phoenix. Known for spirits is Catlight, but she's on Blue Red Phoenix now. She's going to be taking on GhostxEmpire. Empire on Dredge. This is match 1 of week 1 between teams Fire and Ice, here to kick off the Modern Streamers League.
All right, we are looking good, and away we go.
This is going to be an amazing match to kick things off on the Modern Streamers League. Catlight taking on GhostxEmpire. Guano, these are two decks that are going to pace the game a little bit differently. Catlight on Blue-Red Phoenix and GhostxEmpire on Dredge. But these are two decks that are going to try and abuse the graveyard, which seems to be the overwhelmingly, I guess, broken angle right now that modern decks are looking to exploit. I think it's going to be interesting to see how Cat sets this up.
Yeah, with the two graveyard decks, I mean, it's like competing graveyard strategies. Who can get off first, you know? So let's see it. She's got that surgical extraction in the opening hand, though, so that looks very good.
Well, she's got the Manamorphose to go along with the Serum Visions. She's got the Phoenix already. But the fact that you highlighted, she's already got the surgical extraction in the opening hand, that tells you right now how much player strategies are respecting the graveyard on both sides. You're seeing main deck graveyard hate that is giving you multiples for one. This isn't just eating a card. You're going after it to get multiple cards at once out of your opponent's deck because the graveyard is such a popular resource. Even with the recent bannings, trying to woe back Hugak a bit, you know, we don't have Bridge from Below anymore available in Modern. Was it the right piece? Some people agreed, some people didn't, but this is the reality that we have right now in Modern. So let's see who's able to take advantage. Can Cat sort of piece things together with this more of a tempo deck than Dredge, which is just looking to set up a fundamental turn? And I think that's really what it comes down to, Guano. Which deck, in your estimation, has the quicker fundamental turn right now in Modern? Is it Cat Light or is it GhostxEmpire?
Well, turn one, if you've got a Faithless Looting and you're playing the Izzet Phoenix deck and you've got two Phoenixes in your hand, I mean, you're smiling. Right now, she's kind of got a mix of the Thing in the Ice, Manamorphose. She's kind of working. Looks like she kept a Phoenix on top there, so we'll see how it goes. He's got the turn one Faithless Looting, so this is what the Dredge decks want. Anything that goes to the graveyard, Faithless Looting, turn one is exactly what you want to see.
Sure, Red Brainstorm. But the advent, I think, to the Phoenix deck that's made it the most dangerous in my mind is the Thing in the Ice technology, because it allows it not only the depth to back up the quick beats of Phoenix by putting a potentially larger than anything creature into play, but it allows it to use its preferential play line of stringing together a bunch of spells to get Phoenix back in order to play defense at a simultaneous time by flipping over Thing in the Ice. And a 7/8 isn't anything to sneeze at as you get it sort of incidentally while your deck does what it wants to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great card. I've lost to it many times. Frustrating.
That's going to be, as we go through, that's going to be Guano's kind of measuring stick. It's a great card. It's beaten me X amount of times.
I don't even know, the number X has too many zeros behind it, so I don't even want to count that number. It's more just it is what it is. You know what I mean? The 4 power too, or the 4 toughness is huge in that. You know, you can't kill it with a lightning bolt. You got to have something really big to take care of it. And with modern, you know, they're looking for those streamline 1-2 mana spells. You know, nobody's going to be main boarding any lava axes or anything, or lightning axe or anything like that. So, I mean, does a lot of work. Does a lot of work.
Yeah, it might be a few rounds before we see somebody go after a spell that has a casting cost of greater than 2. I mean, later tonight, we're going to see some Abzan decks, some Abzan Coco decks, and we're going to see a blue-white control deck. But until then, we might not see a card cast with a casting cost greater than 2. Sure, Phoenix might come into play, but we're not going to see players spend a lot of mana to get off individual effects for the next couple of rounds, it looks like.
Yeah, well, it looks like GhostxEmpire just got a prized amalgam in the graveyard, so that's what he wants, right? That's his gig. He's got a good Dredge card with the Stinkweed Imp. He's got his Blood Gas, which he's probably going to put into play right here, which is going to trigger the prized amalgam. So, I mean, it's looking pretty good. Obviously, she's got that surgical extraction. You would think that maybe she would hit the prized amalgam with it right now. Not sure. I mean, that would be my play, although I'm not, you know, like I said, not the best assist at this game. So, oh, here we go. No, she wants to
go for it now.
She's doing it.
And this is a good spot to go for it. Ghost X is tapped out. He's got a sorcery on the stack. So she can go for it here, I think, with minimal chance of interacting with the card she wants to target.
Right. The Dredge card's in the graveyard. That's what she wants. Perfect.
So let's see if she's going to go for the Stinkweed Imp here, or if she's going to go for the Amalgam, which I know you jumped on right away.
Looks like she went for Stinkweed. She wants to get all those Dredge targets out of the graveyard, but she has to deal with that. So, I mean,
and this is where Dredge becomes such a beast, because it's using
she just got her Faithless Looting. She's going nuts. She just got what she wanted. Look at that. She's like, yeah. I mean, she's got the perfect mana for everything right now. Thing in the Ice, Opt, and Arclight Phoenix all right now. She's going to hit him for 10 right now. This is going to be dirty.
And this is something you don't usually see in live Magic. It would be sort of chagrin if during your draw step, you stepped away from the table and did the double overhead fist pump that we just saw from Kat. But correct, when you're playing online and having fun with it, like our streamers are going to be doing with Modern Streamers League, it's great to see the reaction, because now we're going to see this deck go into.
She just pulled an Arclight Phoenix, 2 Arclight Phoenixes. Did you see her face? She was like, oh, I'm going to hit him for so much. 13 she's coming over with.
Now, what she does with this Aria of Flame, I think, is going to be interesting. This is one of the new additions for Modern Horizons that has gotten a lot of talk already.
And she just pulled another Surgical Extraction. She got everything she wants right now.
We're seeing this Phoenix deck in overdrive right now.
Yeah, this looks like this could be a scooperama here for GhostxEmpire.
Well, and his problem is how much haste is he going to be able to generate? I don't think he can generate enough haste to threaten a kill on the return turn.
Nope. I mean, he can't even if she was under 10 life and he could cast a Bloodghast, but he can't, because, I mean, there it is. There's the Scooperoonie.
That was a dominating opening salvo for Team Fire and Hellcat Catlight.
Yep. She's bringing in the graveyard hate. Ravenous Trap. That's pretty much it. Yeah. Oh, look, she's getting her sideboard guide out. All right. Everybody's got to have a sideboard guide, right?
Well, and it'll be interesting, because now we see she's going to try some of the seasoned pyromancers here, and we see some of the standard technology from Blue-Red Drakes in the new promises that have come out, and she's going to a couple of them out of the sideboard. They allow you to play essentially 3 cards for 3 mana if you can find an instant and a sorcery that are both 1 in your graveyard, which this deck has no problem doing, because that also lets you ignore mana costs when you go through on the promise with that sort of triple spell turn. So this is another, I think, interesting improvement for this deck. And this deck, before Hogak just happened, this deck was, the boogeyman really in Modern for the most part. So are we seeing it ascend right away here in the hands of Kat?
Here we go. I mean, it's still good even after the banning of Bridge from Below.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think it can operate on no mana, though.
Right. This is definitely a mole here. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, she doesn't like it, but you know she doesn't want to go down to 5 cards.
Well, but if you have a 5-lander and you're going to throw one away, this is essentially feels like a mulligan to 4. So I would think she'd seriously consider.
Extraction is the only thing that I think is making her keep this, you know?
Yeah, you're on the draw now. So is she looking to set up a different pace to the game, a different tempo, as she responds to GhostxEmpire?
Let's see what happens. Let's see what he's got here. I mean, I'm sure he's playing the, what's this face? The Stitcher. Maybe not. Maybe not playing the Stitcher.
All the deck lists are up. You can check it out on Twitch, the Modern Streamers League. Let's see what Kat elected to keep her 6-card hand. As you can see, the London Mulligan, of course, in effect, magic wide now. And if I'm GhostxEmpire, I've seen Kat mulligan, and you can't see the look on your opponent's face.
Right.
Like playing across from him on the table.
Yeah.
He'd be even more encouraged, I think, if he could see Kat's reaction to what she kept.
Yeah.
Well,
she's also got another opportunity here to get that Golgari Thug out of there. You know what I mean? She's got the I mean, obviously that's going to be his Dredge right there. All right. Well,
she does.
Okay. She's looking here.
And with this deck, specifically Phoenix playing such a low land count, now she's gotten the other card that allows the deck to operate hyper efficiently, which is Manamorphose. You get to spin your wheels and draw the card, but for neutral mana. So now we'll see what she ends up being able to pull together, because other than the surgical extraction, I have to imagine those are all turn 3 plays after Thing in the Ice is on board. So that might be too slow, as GhostxEmpire already has the Shriekhorn going.
All right, let's see what he's got. She's got a graveyard. She got 1 Amalgam. She got 1 more Golgari Thug.
Now that Anger of the Gods might change how she sets up the tempo in this game.
Yeah, for sure.
But GhostxEmpire, does he have double?
He's got only the Golgari Thug in there right now.
Okay.
But he's got 2 prized amalgam, so
that's the double prized amalgam. Yeah, that's what I was looking at for the double prized amalgam draw.
Right.
But she can trump that with Anger.
Yes.
And Anger, the big key there is it exiles.
Yes. Oh, we love the exile. Unless it's that 3-cost Eldrazi guy you can cast from exile. I hate that guy, but whatever.
Well, we'll save the soapboxing for maybe a later date, because cast from exile is one of those things that gets under my skin.
Yeah, definitely.
So Kat really playing the control role right now, while GhostX looks to put together an overwhelming advantage. Can he get his key pieces out of the yard without getting them surgically extracted?
Well, she's got a lot of different choices here. Obviously the Bloodghast is going to trigger both prized amalgams. So she's looking right now. I mean, he's going to, Shriekhorn before his draw step, to get more cards in there. Hopefully a 3rd prized amalgam. So we'll just see. I mean, could be a big setup. She looks like she's just relaxing though. That Anger of the Gods really puts a hamper on what he's trying to do here. She can basically take away a ton of his stuff right here, and all the major threats anyway.
And if you're Dredge, you're sort of pinched right now, because flipping Thing in the Ice puts your creatures exactly where you don't want them, right, which is back in your hand.
Yep.
It would almost be better, if she'd sweep it and put him in the graveyard, than making GhostX find another way to put him from his hand into that graveyard. But we'll see what she wants to go with here.
She's getting the Conflagrate.
I can't say I blame her for that. Is the first win afoot for Team Fire right here, with Catlight taking an abysmal draw and then an abysmal mulligan, and possibly just having those pieces all come together against a Dredge deck.
We're looking good.
And really, and I can't believe we're saying that, Guano, because from where she was on that mulligan to this point, I'm sort of stunned that GhostX hasn't been able to find a way to put more pressure on by now. He had the Shriekhorn going on 1. And he's got here we're going to see the double prized amalgam.
I'm surprised he didn't use his Shriekhorn before he did his draw step, actually. Maybe, I don't, why would he save it? Is there a reason to save it?
Well, you're talking to somebody who has never registered Dredge or WotC sanctioned tournament. So I think he would know better, but I was a bit surprised too.
Oh, man, even this Narcom. Oh, that's dirty. Those creeping chills are going to hurt.
I mean, both decks just coming online late, really, for what we know they can do here in Game 2.
Agreed.
I think Kat has to be surprised she's gotten this much breathing room against Dredge on the play here when GhostX kept 7. Agreed.
It's going to be a huge turnaround right here with this Anger of the Gods. I mean, does he have, if he's got a lightning, he's got a lightning axe, so I mean, that's really the only thing she's got to worry about with this thing in the ice. I mean, it could get killed. She could go Manamorphose.
But with the amount of value she's about to get, if she gets another card from GhostX, I don't think she would mind. She's got options, got Manamorphose for next turn to start looking for pressure.
But I feel like right now she could go Manamorphose with the Opt, and then go Anger of the Gods, flip the thing in the ice before the Anger of the Gods goes off, and not have to worry about the Lightning Bolt or you know what?
I think she's 1 mana short.
Okay.
Because Manamorphose would keep you at 3, and then Opt would take her to 2, and she played the mountain this turn.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. In math, I was not a math guy in college, so you know maybe that's why I'm not that good. All right, here we go. Now
GhostX looking to rebuild his board and get back on the attack. And if you're GhostX, you have to surmise that she's probably got a way to flip Thing in the Ice if she gets to untap. So how strong do you want to go into the face of likely Kat being able to flip Thing in the Ice at her leisure and knock out your rebuilt army at that point? Let's see what GhostX does here.
Kat's giving me hints that I don't know what I'm talking about. Thanks, Kat. You're right. 100% right. You know better than me.
Looking for the first.
Oh, look, she's begging for a card right now.
For their teams here on the Modern Streamers League. Cat Light and GhostxEmpire. Cat on Blue Red Phoenix and GhostX on the Dredge deck. Already 1 wipe with the Anger of the Gods, and we've seen Kat use 1 surgical already. That's the other card in her graveyard. Now Loam from GhostX. Can GhostX sort of put these pieces together? This seems really a difficult spot for him to be in because of the 2 counters left on Thing. He's going to have to find a quick way out of this. Now, Kat's at 9, so it's not impossible. All of his Bloodghasts will have haste. And Kat's tapped out, so she can block 1 straight up if she wants to with Thing in the Ice. But if GhostX can get wide, it's going to spell trouble here on this turn.
He is going to be putting a ton of cards in his graveyard right now. Here we go. More amalgams coming out.
Now, we've seen a couple creeping chills already, so I don't think Kat's in danger of being, quote-unquote, burned out from 9 at this point.
He's only got 8 cards left in his deck.
Yeah, a creeping chill with a couple of more Bloodghasts could be it because of the haste on the Bloodghast with Kat at 9. Will she get the chance to untap? I think if she untaps, it might be enough, but will she get there?
He is tapped out right now, so I mean, this could be a huge turnaround right here.
You mentioned GhostX getting light in the library department. Not a big deal for Dredge. Obviously, they want to operate from the graveyard, but They do need to be able to draw cards just to keep the engine going.
And it would seem that he does not have a GhostxEmpire. Obviously did not have a lightning axe or a lightning bolt or something, because he would have attacked with that blood gas and tried to get that damage on him, right? To kill that thing in the ice, but looks like it didn't happen.
Sure, because even if he has a second, you know she only has 2 other cards in hand, so getting to 4 on 1 mana would have been exceedingly difficult. Now she's got a chance to just play it out and take firm control, I think, here.
Oh, she's checking the sideboard. Quick little sideboard check there.
How does Kat want to put these pieces together? She gets in for 7 this turn. That would take him to 19. So it's not a 1-turn clock.
She puts it on the bottom. She puts the third thing. Oh, the surgical extraction.
Do you go after the Bloodghasts now because they'd have haste? Is that the out that you're looking to cut off in this case?
She's got some dirty options right now.
Because, and the other part, I guess you would think, is do you want to go for it while your opponent's tapped out? We see GhostX tapped out. No, she's going to hold on to it and let him untap.
She surgically extracted the conflagrates, so she doesn't have to worry about anything, you know, coming at her face.
No, and knowing that she had the conflagrates out, would you take that chance to go for the Bloodghasts? Because they're going to be the ones that have haste in this situation. That was my only thought.
But they don't. She doesn't have 2 black mana.
Well, she can pay life for the surgical.
Right. Oh, you're talking about, okay, I was talking GhostX, yeah.
Yeah. No, because he's going to want the triggers for those, and they're going to have haste. So would Cat decide to go for those when he had the shields down sort of last turn?
Oh, Blast Zone. Can
this
he
is
live?
Good.
Yes, here we go. That Blast Zone is huge.
To play with the counter on it. So if you want to go for 0 casting cost tokens, so to speak, you have to find a way to remove that counter. But I believe the last rules update said that flip cards retain the casting cost even when flipped. So if he can get the Blast Zone to 2, I think he can take out the Awoken Horrors. And he's going to have the extra turn, remember, because she flips the second one, and that's an attack for 14, leaving GhostX at 5.
Yes. Although she could loot and get lucky and hit a couple bolts. You never know.
That's very much of a possibility. But I just think this is interesting. You've got 2 graveyard combo decks that are now in these middle rounds trying to play the control game to see who can be the better control deck at this point. There's an Arclight Phoenix. A second one would be enough. Or some burnt. Now she's got the Finale of Promise too. Can she get enough in this turn to end this game? And she'd get the match with it. First match for Team Fire. Coming up after this, Dido and PuntthenWhine, Grixis Shadow, and Bloom Titan. That's going to be an explosive matchup as well. But now can Cat find the way here? She's got 3 mana in the pool, and she's thinking about what to do with Finale of Promise. This card's been a rising star. I think this card, we're just starting to scratch the surface on Finale of Promise's potential. Kat, you can see her face. She's got the hand over her mouth, leaning into it, trying to process all the lines. And this is where sort of I start to fall behind these great players, is the number of lines of play that she's considering right now, and the complex lines with this deck just give you an amazing number of possibilities. I think she was hoping for a lightning bolt there. That would have been 3 and brought back the Phoenix, which would have been the game.
I guess I saw in the chat that she sided out her bolts, so those are not in the mix.
She was making that consideration between games.
All right, well, the Blast Zone is ready to get rid of those horrors. Here we go.
The problem for GhostX now, though, is that he's at 2 and Phoenix does 3.
Yep.
So by finding the Phoenix, now he's Blast Zone irrelevant. I think this is so multifaceted from Blue-Red Phoenix. And what an opening salvo for Team Fire.
Thank you for the raid there, Yellow Hat. Beautiful. Hope everybody's enjoying themselves. This is a great match.
This is night 1 of the new Modern Streamers League. Team Fire taking on Team Ice. He's Guano Maestro. I'm Sean Seacrease. This is Cat Stevens, Cat Light, HellKatMTG on Blue-Red Phoenix, and GhostxEmpire on Dredge. Cat got game 1. And both decks have kind of slipped into a control mode here in the middle of game 2, as Cat, we know, mulliganed to 6 and kept a 4-lander in that situation, and has been able to come up with a couple of surgical extractions and Guano a key Anger of the Gods when it looked like Ghost X was about to run.
There's the scoop. That
Cat,
is it.
Too many angles. I mean, to me, that was it, Guano. She had too many angles covered for the draws that Ghost X was able to put together in that match.
Agreed. I mean, what can you do?
Hellcat getting away from Spirits, going with Blue-Red Phoenix, and she picks up the first match here on night 1 of the Modern Streamers League for Team Fire. Over the next 10 weeks, the 10 modern streamers on Team Fire and the 10 fantastic modern streamers on Team Ice are going to battle it out across 8 weeks of Modern, as you know it, what you would play at a Modern GP, and then 2 special challenge weeks. We'll talk a little bit more about those and the kind of decks that we'll see from our streamers in week 3 and then in week 8, as those are going to be 2 of our wild card weeks coming up here in the Modern Streamers League. On the way, we're going to see Dido on Grixis Shadow. He's going to take on PuntthenWhine, who is on Bloom Titan. Match 1, though, goes to Team Fire as Cat Light, Hellcat, takes down GhostxEmpire on Dredge with her Blue-Red Phoenix deck. This is the Modern Streamers League.
Phase 1.
go. Let's get this thing going, yo.
Good morning, good afternoon, maybe good evening, wherever you're joining us from for this night one of week one of the Modern Streamers League. Sean Seacrease along with Guano Maestro as we get set for match two between Team Fire and Team Ice. The Modern Streamers League is playing for charity for the next 10 weeks and for pride as they battle it out across Magic's most populous non-rotating format. Here in match two, it's going to be Dido on Grixis Shadow for Team Fire. Team Fire on the bottom of the screen, and PuntthenWhine on Bloom Titan. Guano, who's the match favorite in your mind as these two decks clash?
Well, I mean, if he can stop, if the Grixis Death Shadow deck can stop him from doing what he wants, whenever I play Grixis Death Shadow, it seems like they always have every answer. They always have that stubborn denial right when you're not looking for it. They've always got the discard right when you're about to play your big card. So that's for me, that's what we're doing here. I never really see what's going on here with the cards here with PuntthenWhine down here at the bottom, but looks like he's blocked out. Not really sure, but all right.
Right now is the dangerous moment if you're Dido on Death Shadow, because you look at the tools that Amulet Titan already has on the board, and most importantly, they've got the Amulet. So they're going to be able to pull off all the mana they need if they can put together the right package here. They've already got the Citadel, and this is a scary board if you're trying to look into the teeth of these Titan decks. But Dido, his hand unavailable to us for this matchup, but they can defend themselves on the Grixis side. The tools that are available are hard-hitting. Thoughtseize, one of the formative cards, definitive cards, I should say, of Modern, and certainly has been important since the formation of the format. That was a huge counter. So now the most popular mana cost for Zombie Fish, 1, able to be deployed. And where can Amulet Titan, Bloom Titan look for its threats here?
Yeah, just people are wondering why they can't see the decks. Dido could not film or video his match, so we had somebody else do it for him. That's why you cannot see his hand. Just to let people know. In the future, you will be able to see his hand. And yeah, just to let you know, this is week one. We're still working things out, but that's what we're doing here. And by the way, just so you know, only one zombie fish per week if you're interested in eating them. That's a nice pro tip there.
All right, doctor's orders from Guano Maestro here to watch your consumption of zombie fish.
That's right. I grew up in the Bay Area, and they had those in the Delta there. You got to be careful.
If you're just sort of noticing Dido being willing to spend his life so aggressively, that's really what this Grixis Death Shadow deck does. It wants to knock its own life total down. It wants to play a huge 1-mana Death Shadow, and it wants to use value cards to get there. We saw them use Thoughtseize aggressively. They want to use intense low mana plays to take that mana advantage from their opponents, to take the higher impact cards out of their opponent's hand while setting themselves up for usually what amounts to be a quick, possibly two-turn kill. No Death Shadow yet from Grixis Death Shadow, but now a second zombie.
Two anglers is when you see two anglers, you're just like, okay, what are we gonna do with this?
Well, the ability to gain some life, key for PuntthenWhine, because he's still got a 2-turn clock, and Bloom Titan, really a combo deck. He's going to be able to set up and go for this on 1 turn. A second huge counterspell from Grixis Death Shadow in this matchup here in game 1.
Oof.
So this is to put PuntthenWhine on a 1-turn clock. Now he gives up the token, falls to 12. Now it will be 1 turn because he found the Death Shadow. Not the biggest Death Shadow, just a 5/5 right now. But that's all he's going to need with 3 5/5s. He's got lethal on board.
Plenty big.
And something tells me he'll be able to make that bigger next turn if he chooses to.
We got here. What?
Now, what can Bloom Titan put together?
Here we go.
Evil Titan. That was a key Colligan's command earlier from Grixis Shadow as well, taking away the ability to use these bounce lands at instant speed from Titan.
That's the only thing that's keeping him in this game right now. If he didn't have that bloom right now, that Titan would be rolling over like dirty work.
Yeah, that Amulet was huge play. I thought we weren't going to have any spells actually cast for more than 2 mana until round 4 tonight, but here we see Dido proving me wrong. He went for the main deck Kolaghan's commands, and it's come up big here early. Now the Titan's going to come in. And this is a little bit less scary, I think, for Dido because, again, no Amulet available due to that K command. Because this could just be an instant knockout with Sunhome on the table with that Amulet. But right now, we're going to see that PuntthenWhine's going to have to go for the token because he's at 12 on the crackback.
Oh,
that
the snappy.
To get in front of a large Death Shadow. What's Dido going to do with Snapcaster here?
He can kill the Primeval here because it doesn't have double strike. It's just got Vigilance and Haste. Take 3 damage. And the swing back if he's got, what did he?
If he can get rid of the token, it'll be interesting to see what line he takes. But that token is going to either draw a card out of Dido's hand, or it's going to give PuntthenWhine even more room on his next turn to try and put something together because he'll be able to be at 7. But we're getting ahead of this interaction now as PuntthenWhine's thinking about how to take down this Death Shadow and this Snapcaster Mage. So he gets them both. This is going to be very interesting now. A second plant token off the copied Colony Heart Garden. But if you're PuntthenWhine here, Guano, you're just in full-out defense mode, I have to believe.
Yeah,
just looking
sure.
to put together another combo turn.
I mean, if he's got, why can't I think of it now? So I always blank when I'm thinking of the card. The one, Teamer Battle Rage. If he pulls a Teamer Battle Rage, that's pretty much, thank you very much.
So PuntthenWhine going to be able to untap at 12. But what does he have available to him? So you're going to cycle a Teleria West.
All right.
Go for Pact.
Uh-oh.
This could be a kill here. Snapcaster. And that's going to be it. That's going to be enough from PuntthenWhine, as there was the ability for a 4th key counterspell coming out of Grixis Death Shadow here in game 1.
Snappy.
What a great use of tempo and resources out of Dido. That was, I thought, masterfully orchestrated to put the most pressure on and yet remain able to deploy the best defenses at any moment, as he kept himself sort of liquid in the moment while he was able to get down the double zombie fish.
Agreed. I just like the way that sounds. The double zombie fish. You know you're going down when you're looking at that.
Well, if he could do it a second time, I mean, it might take him to victory here again, and Team Fire could be looking at going up 2-0 here on night 1 of week 1 of the Modern Streamers League. Let's see how they sideboard.
I agree.
And look, too.
And notice, like, exactly what I said played out, right? He got exactly the right cards that he needed right when he needed. This is the frustration that I have against this deck. Is it's like I feel like I'm right there. They get there, see their life total, and I'm like, oh, maybe I can just squeeze it. Nah, no. And no, we'll take that out of your hand. And another no for you. It just seems like that's what they do over and over. They always find that one thing with that combination of card draw. You got the Kolaghan's coming, the Stubborn Denial, everything. It's vicious. Absolutely vicious.
And once you have Zombie Fish down, Stubborn Denial becoming the hard counter, also a big deal. So
agreed.
The ability to put together the different pieces in the order that's most devastating, I think, is really the flexibility that's going to let Grixis Death Shadow decide whether it rises or falls in this meta. So it's going to be really interesting against an explosive deck like Bloom Titan to see if he can continue to put that together. So Dido, if you're just joining us, not able to record his own match this week. So that's why we're not seeing, one, his cards in hand, and two, we got to watch Cat Light sideboard in game one. Not able to see that from Dido here this week. I know everybody's working to make their matches as thorough as possible. That's something we'll see for the rest of the night, and we'll see in each of our matches going forward. But we appreciate the effort from Dido this week to get this match recorded by any means necessary so we can bring it to you here on Modern Streamers League.
That's right. Greatness at any cost.
I love it. I love it. Some of the best flavor text ever written. Are you, Guano, are you more of a comedy flavor texter or a sort of a greatness at any cost flavor texter?
I'm definitely a comedy flavor texter.
All right. I'm going to ask you later what the flavor text would be on the Guano Maestro card then. So, and we'll get some key insights to your personality.
Super. Let's go. Psych 101. I'm ready. Bring it. Analysis 101.
Game 2 kicking off between Dido and PuntthenWhine. Coming up next, Caleb Shearer and Cyrus corman-gill in Game 3 of Week 1. We'll also be joined by Modern Streamers League founder and creator, Mike Goldenberg, coming up. I think he's going to have something to say about PuntthenWhine's Bloom Titan deck because St. Doom, as you know him online, he is a Titan aficionado. So we'll get his thoughts from how his teammate, PuntthenWhine, rolling here in match number 2.
Dido's going to have a couple cards. He's got 4 cards in his graveyard after this Serum Visions resolves. So he's not quite there at Zombie Fish yet. He could even, well, I mean, he can counter that bloom, that Lotus Bloom.
Yeah. Well, he had it in perfect timing in Game 1 with the denial. Can he find those same pieces here on the draw in Game 2? EE coming early from PuntthenWhine.
That's not a good sign.
No. I mean, obviously it gives you great defense against Death Shadow, but I don't think we're at a part of the game right now where he has to worry about a one-turn kill. With it deployed, will it slow down Dido from deploying multiple Death Shadows in one turn? Most likely.
I don't know. Well, I mean, he's got 4 cards in his hand. His graveyard is at Zombie Fish level, so...
And that's one of the things that deck designers have loved since Zombie Fish was printed. The common, the versatile common, is that it's not EE-able because you have to look at its entire casting cost. You might have put it onto the field for 1 black mana and use the Delve cast, but that's a great way to protect it from engineered explosives. Now the Stubborn Denial on Summoner's Pact for the 2nd consecutive game. It's a key from Dido.
He's paying for it, though.
Pact, able to be cast into the Stubborn Denial because this time Dido, no large creature on the board to make that Pact a hard counter. And now here comes prime time. Prime time, the Fortress, and EE on the board. These pieces really coming together early for PuntthenWhine. And you were worried about, Guano, him playing the EE on the turn that he elected to play it. You didn't think that was a good sign for his future in this game.
I thought with the amount of cards he had in his hand, he was just getting it out there because it was his only play at that point. So looks like he's doing good, though. Looks like he's got the thing ready to go. He's just got to hope for no Zombie Fish.
Yeah, smaller hands now. PuntthenWhine with 3 in hand, and the same for Dido.
Oh, the Lily. That's not good. Look at that sideboard coming in for Dido.
Downstairs. And this right now is one of the biggest debates because of the meta in all the Eternal formats, which is who's your Lily, essentially. Is it Last Hope? Is it Veil? and their stock has risen and fallen as the metagame shifts. But I know right now, most of the deck builders and designers that I talk to coming into Modern Streamers League are slightly favoring their splits, biasing their splits in favor of Veil right now. That tells me bigger creatures are the ones running around the format. And Last Hope's -2, -1, not doing as much. PuntthenWhine picking it up. Here to draw even in the match.
Like it.
That's big for Team Ice. They had been skunked up until that win by PuntthenWhine, and they didn't even get the match yet. That's just a game. But Team Ice, they got 2-0'd in round 1 as HellKat took down GhostxEmpire, and they were in danger of getting skunked again here in round 2. But PuntthenWhine, he breaks the seal for Team Ice and gets the win. Now game 3. Now you get to put Dido, if you're Team Fire, back on the play, where in game 1, all of his answers came together and lined up very well with what we saw PuntthenWhine try to do on the early turns in that game. If I'm Dido, I have to be very comfortable right now, or as comfortable as you can be against an explosive deck like Amulet Bloom or Bloom Titan. But I got to like where I'm at, I think, in this match.
He's looking at his hand a while, though. Definitely taking a long look.
Do you think that Cat is telling him just as long as it's not 6 lands, just keep it? I kept a 5-lander and mulligan to 6
just do it
in round 1.
Do it. I love it. There we go.
He had the 3-mana Kolaghan's Command in the main deck. We saw that in game 1. Brought the Liliana out of the sideboard. And so how streamlined will he stay on his mana, or does he keep things like Kolaghan's Command in just for the ability to go after the amulets? Because we saw the ability to reach out and break the amulet in game 1 probably be the difference between winning and losing. I'll be interested to see if he's kept with the commands. Great for killing the plant tokens. Great for killing the amulets.
I mean, Dido led on the Thoughtseize when PuntthenWhine mulled to 6, so it's a rough one.
And Dido already got the life total under 13, so we could see an early Death Shadow here. He's going to go with the self-mill to set up an opportunity for a zombie fish, and it'll be Death Shadow. But the shields are down, and this is the first really early turn that PuntthenWhine's gotten to take in this matchup without having to worry about getting countered. So, Guano, what does PuntthenWhine have to do here? I mean, he's got to do something impactful on this turn, and he's not able to do that much, as we see now.
I mean, Bloom's coming off pretty soon here, so.
But now the ability to sort of put the shields back up, as it were, for Dido. Going to go with another Thoughtseize while ramping up the pressure on board.
Yep, getting that, growing the Death Shadow and taking cards out of your hand. Sounds like fun.
Getting in for 5. And if you think that Grixis Death Shadow doesn't have another way to grow that Death Shadow, that's highly unlikely. So I know it says 5/5 now, but this is, for all intents and purposes, a 2-turn clock.
I mean, if he's got a Street Wraith, there's 2 right there.
Right. And you know that Death Shadow is going to get even bigger. So this is a 2-turn clock right now for Dido. What can PuntthenWhine put together? Oh, he's tanking off the Serum Visions.
Yeah. This is not looking good.
Right now, Team Fire getting close to going up 2 matches to none here on opening night. 5 matches tonight, 5 matches on Wednesday. It's going to be every Monday and Wednesday for the next 10 weeks here on the Modern Streamers League. And after our presentation on each of those nights, you want to go back, you want to watch closely how those games played out, look at your favorite decks, look at key turns. All the VODs are going to be up. You can find those both on YouTube and here on the Twitch channel as well after our broadcast each Monday and Wednesday here for Modern Streamers League. And Guano, this one's seeing the door close fast.
Yep. I mean, that's He finally got his amulet down, and bazam, taken away immediately.
Yeah, so we have our answer. Those K commands, big, and there's the counterspell, the 1 mana Stubborn Denial that may close the door. Just 2 cards in hand though right now for Dido. But PuntthenWhine with 4 and visions. He's looking again. He's trying to put it together.
Inquisition. So no, he hasn't. I mean, does he have something to get him? I mean, is this down to 1?
Well, nope. And right now, I just have to eat my hat because that was 2 turns in a row where Grixis Delver was not, or excuse me, Grixis Death Shadow was not able to self-damage to make it a 2-turn clock. There was no way I thought he would attack for 2 turns in a row for 7, 5-5, and a 2-1. And we just saw that play out. And if that leaves the door open, I mean, what an opportunity for PuntthenWhine.
Here we go.
This, Death Shadow deck wasn't able to do a key 1 point of damage to itself, which most of the deck is able to accomplish, that self-inflicted wound.
All right, well, he's using his Azusa for an attack. What is this? I don't see an out here. I think this is it. This is it.
Yep.
Looks like Team Fire. That's the one.
2-1.
What?
Team finally breaks through and gets a game win, but cannot take the match. And it's Dido on Grixis Shadow taking down PuntthenWhine on Bloom Titan. And here on week 1 of the Modern Streamers League, Team Fire off to a hot start as they're already up 2-0. Guano, what'd you see? I mean, was that just tough draws right there for PuntthenWhine on Bloom Titan? Because it looked like he never had the opportunity to get a clear path and deploy his resources. It was continually the vicious, efficient 1-mana counterspell that was able to give Dido the breathing room that he needed throughout that match.
And it was on the play, too. When Dido was on the play and he had that mana advantage, just even one thing, he could keep something open, wait till he got just enough for his Kolaghan's Command to get rid of that amulet. It didn't really matter. That amulet is the key. If you can keep that off the board, I mean, the only other thing is Azusa, but without the amulet, still, there's just not the same advantage that you would have if you had that amulet, obviously. I mean, that Kolaghan's Command is a dirty, dirty card.
It does so much, but those games played out that the 3-mana instant was able to be leveraged in big-time situations in both. You'll see a lot of Bloom Titan decks that either have the mana to go over the top when they have their best draws. We saw PuntthenWhine have to operate without amulet in all of those games. Did he have it on the battlefield? Yes, at one point, but it was immediately taken away by the K command, so he never really got to use it for that hot shot of mana to really set his deck ahead. And keeping the 3-drop in proves to be a huge point in that game, a huge point in that match for Dido, as he used K command and Stubborn Denial as the best tools to keep Bloom Titan off of what it wanted to do, and then just rode his individual dorks to victory. So if you think Modern's just a 1-drop, 2-drop format, K command came up huge in that match. Another win.
And a Braid, the sideboard of Braid, everything's just coming up good.
Yeah, a Braid, another versatile 2-mana spell that they're able to leverage with Grixis. And it's interesting. You'll see occasionally some of the Phoenix decks want to use it as well. We talked earlier about Promise of Power, and I think its surface just really being scratched right now since it's come out. And a Braid's another one of those cards that gives you so much flexibility that you could use at instant speed with Promise of Power without having to go over the top on the mana. Match 2 is in the books. Another win, this one for Dido and Team Fire. Match 3, it comes up next. It is Caleb Shearer on Storm, the archetype that he is known for mastering, against another known master of Storm, Cyrus corman-gill. But Cyrus corman-gill not on Storm. He's on Bring to Light SnowShift. This should be very interesting. We're going to be joined by the founder of the Modern Streamers League, the Saint Do, Mike Goldenberg.
The man.
Up next for Match 3. This is Week 1 of the Modern Streamers League.
phase 1? Are you ready for phase 1? ready for phase one?
This is night one of week one of the Modern Streamers League. I'm Sean Seacrease, and joined now for match number 3 this evening by the Saint Doom. You may know him as Mike Goldenberg as well. He is the mastermind behind the Modern Streamers League. Mike, how you doing this evening? And thanks for joining us for this absolutely outstanding match here in week one between Caleb Shearer and Cyrus corman-gill.
Well, thank you very much. Glad to be here. I don't know if I'm quite a mastermind. You're making me sound like some evil genius, which I entirely encourage, by the way. But I'm doing well. I'm really excited for this match. This should be a lot of fun.
PuntthenWhine in the last round got your team, Team Ice, its first win. Not match win, but game win. Are you starting to relax a little bit? And as a Titan master yourself, were there any lines that you were watching that and you're thinking, this or that, or was it just a situation where the Grixis deck had what the Grixis deck seemed to have?
I didn't see anything that Punt could have done differently. I don't think he made any mistakes. I think it was just, like he said in the chat, turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 2 Death Shadow, turn 3 Thoughtseize. Deck that is reliant upon hitting 6 mana and a Titan. It's not going to beat that.
That was a great play by Dido, and he got Team Fire their second match win of the night. Here we're going to see Caleb Shearer on Storm. What else? Against Cyrus corman-gill. Bring to light SnowShift. I'm excited to see how this plays out. I know Guano told me while we were getting ready for the broadcast this evening that he got his backside firmly turned to Swiss cheese by this deck today during his stream. But it'll be interesting to see how this plays out in the hands of Cyrus corman-gill.
Absolutely. So we see that Caleb already mulliganed. I have in my deck notes that I do feel like Storm is favored in this matchup, specifically because they have a faster Goldfish than any Scapeshift deck. I've written down the interactive cards that Cyrus has. So one of the keys I think is if Caleb mulligans and doesn't draw well, like if you look at this hand, sure, he's a turn 2 Electromancer. He's got a little bit of ramp with an Electromancer and the Manamorphose and how that combines together. But he doesn't have any dig cards. There's no real cantrips. There's no Serum Visions or Sleight of Hand here in his hand yet. He's got a lot of mana reducers, but that's about it.
Yeah, he's sitting on the double Manamorphose, which is a great opportunity to get the engine rolling because it's mana neutral and digs you 1 card deeper, but will he be able to keep one of these cost reducers on the board? We see he's got the Baral in his hand. He's got the Past in Flames if it comes to that. But can he go fast enough for the Bring to Light SnowShift deck? And we already see 4 colors of mana online for SnowShift.
Yeah, I don't think it's fast enough yet. I mean, if you look at that bolt that Cyrus had was very key. So bolting the Goblin Electromancer basically time-walked Caleb. And with Caleb's hand, he still needs to dig. He's kind of trying to go off a little bit here with the Manamorphose. He's digging for action. He's looking to see what he can get.
Yeah, the exploratory go off, if you will, because with the cost reducers, now the Manamorphose net you mana and cards. So is he going to be able to find something that lets him continue the train here off this Manamorphose? This is a key reveal.
Absolutely.
Now he can go into Past in Flames if he wants to, and we could see him build a Storm turn right now. Is it worth going for the Baral here? This is where the seasoned Storm players know the math on how much their cards cost, and is it worth it to go with 1 cost reducer or with a 2nd cost reducer? He's decided to go with the Baral, and now the Past in Flames, and saying to him he can start the Manamorphose train over again.
Absolutely, but again, like I said, the only problem I see here is that he's got just the 2 Manamorphose to draw more cards, and it looks like he just drew blanks. So he has nothing left right now. He needs to draw some sort of action. He basically just spent everything he had and just drew 2 lands.
So now I think if you're Cyrus, you're sitting on your side of the table going, okay, I get to untap. He's tapped out, 3 cards in hand. Now the Haymaker comes with 3 drop to Fury, and this is really going to hem Shearer in on his turns.
Sure. I think it's more just going to be bouncing and again just doing that time walk trick, slowing Caleb down a little bit. So drew Cyrus another card and because Cyrus needs cards too. If we're looking at this, Cyrus also needs to get to 7 mana and then have Scapeshift or Bring to Light.
And Caleb, just going with the mopey beats to take Teferi off the table. Electromancer getting sideways to take the Planeswalker away. And if you're Caleb, this has got to be a sticky situation where you flooded out heavily on your draws, and now you don't even have the pieces to start building right now. And you have no cost reducers on board with the new Teferi.
Absolutely. Chat just pointed out 7 lands in the top 16 cards. And if you look at the deck list, he's only running 17 lands. So Caleb's definitely been hit with some flood here, and he needs to draw some action now.
And it's flood after Mulligan as well, because he started this game on 6.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see if the Storm Master can find a way to build it back up before Bring to Light SnowShift hits its crucial mana point. And this double Teferi is interesting because he's been able to draw the extra cards out of each one, but really hasn't progressed the board further than that. So we'll see how Cyrus wants to go about this turn.
In my list in Druid Karn, I really use Teferi as not just a combo protector, but also as like a kind of a divination type role. And I think it's similar here in the SnowShift list, where it can just cycle, remove, buy you a little bit of time by bouncing the Baral, bouncing an Electromancer, and drawing you a card. It kind of progresses Cyrus's game plan, because he did not hit a land drop here. He still needs to hit a land drop. He still needs to get to 7 lands and cast Scapeshift. And Caleb needs to find one of the remains in his deck list to be able to slow that down and to buy himself time.
And here's the title card from Cyrus, Bring to Light. Let's see what this is going to reveal. And if you, like me, weren't familiar with the inner workings of Bring to Light SnowShift before we sat down tonight, you can check it out. Get on Twitch and look for Modern Streamers League, and all of the decks are listed on the page, all of the first half of the season decks. It's a 10-week season. And the first 5 weeks, 1 through 5, will comprise the first half of the season. 6 to 10 will be the second half of the season. All of the first half of the season decks are now posted, and you can look at the nuances, the entire 75 for all of our first half of the season decks at your leisure. You want to look at the key pieces for each of these strategies going forward.
And they're also directly below our faces. Serum Visions is a card that Caleb needed earlier. I wonder if he can pull him out of this late. It was really interesting that instant speed Bring to Light off of the Teferi Plus, getting a Secure Tribe Elder to protect Teferi, and also basically grabbing Cyrus another land that he desperately needed. So he's got 6 lands right now. So I have a feeling he's got another Bring to Light or Escape Shift in hand, and he's just waiting to draw a land.
Now can Caleb put together the pieces on his side of the board? He went for it once already, didn't find the cards that he needed to keep the draws coming, and stalled out, burned up a couple Manamorphose, burned up a Past in Flames. So let's see if he can put these new pieces together. Working off the mulligan to 6 and a heavy land flood. And he also hasn't really been able to, St. Doom, keep his multiple cost reducers on the board in the face of the Time Bender.
Interesting that he has no desire to... He's just looking to combo off real quick right here. I mean, the Remand doesn't actually help him because of the Teferi. So a Search for Tomorrow and Escape Shift is just game right now for Cyrus.
And the Teferi offering all the protection in the world for Cyrus on his side.
The Remand that I mentioned earlier that Caleb could have, like I said, he just bottomed that because Teferi is a heck of a card. It basically makes all of the interaction Caleb has with Cyrus not useful. Yep, there's Escape Shift.
Here's the Escape Shift. And this should be it. Yep, Cyrus Corman-Gill takes game 1 in the showdown between Caleb Shearer on Storm and Cyrus Corman-Gill on Bring to Light SnowShift. He gets it done. We saw both namesake cards out of the deck in game 1. is we saw the Bring to Light. That picked up a Key Secure Tribe Elder, a card whose heyday was before they changed the rules about damage on the stack, really, coming back and making its presence felt in the Scapeshift deck. And then we saw the late Scapeshift to pick up the win.
Absolutely. And I feel great right now. Team Ice just got its second game win of the league so far. So we got our rally caps on. So I'm pretty excited.
Is there a unified Team Ice like rally chant? Are you guys all like, saying the same thing at your individual homes and studios and Magic, development pits that I know you're all in rooting for each other?
Oh, we've been chatting daily, which has been great. We've been helping each other build deck lists. It's been a lot of fun. I don't know if we have a specific chant or not, though. It's something maybe we can work on. Maybe for the last a handshake, yeah, something going on.
Some complex signaling of intentions. Game 2 underway, and we know that Caleb Shiro has the best of intentions to go off as soon as he can with his Storm deck. Team Fire got together for a Discord chat, and let me be a fly on the wall during that, about a week, 10 days ahead of opening night. And I thought it was really interesting what they were worried about sort of on the other side of the table. They knew that they were going to have to account for some sort of resurgence of big mana decks. We saw that already with PuntthenWhine on Bloom Titan. They knew they'd have to account for Dredge and Phoenix. And I think those are decks you would expect. But one of the decks that they were worried about, someone from Team Ice breaking, is Goryo's Vengeance. And of course, we haven't seen that yet here in round 3 of day 1 of week 1 of the Modern Streamers League. But I thought that was interesting to me, as they thought, well, this is the card that somebody on Team Ice might be able to do something with, might be able to leverage unexpectedly. I think the word break in Magic is a little overwrought, but that was the card that they were afraid of in sort of that wild card sense. We haven't seen it yet. Maybe we'll see it in coming weeks, but that was kind of the deck anticipation that Team Fire was going through.
Yeah, that remand was key right there. But it's interesting to me that Team Fire was worried about Team Ice with the Vengeance decks, because that is such a powerful effect. I think if we had more time, we had I think we had 2 days to actually build our deck lists after the ban on Bridge, which completely shook the format. I think if we had more time to dive in and really brew more. So if you notice, most players stuck with decks that they were relatively familiar with in a new format. I think that's a great way to start any new format. But it's interesting that Team Fire was scared of Goryo's Vengeance, because that is a terrifying card.
Well, and St. Doom, you bring up a key point, is that deck lists had to be turned in for the first half of the Modern Streamers League 10-week run just 48 hours after Magic announced its B&R changes, in which we saw the Hugak decks not get hollowed out, but a key leg was cut out from underneath of them. We saw nobody was really willing to go with the deck in its now reduced state. And because there wasn't a lot of time, we saw players go with decks that were, 1, established, and 2, they were familiar with. I think it might be different in sort of the second half of the season, as we'll have had 5 weeks since that announcement. Players can be working on tech behind the scenes now. There'll be a couple of major events. So I think we're going to see decks that players are familiar with, not necessarily stock decks, but decks that players are very familiar with here in the first half of the season. I think we're going to see some innovation in the second 5 weeks.
Oh, absolutely. I'm already looking forward to the second half of the league and what deck I can bring. And apparently Goryo's Vengeance should be on my radar, so maybe I'll check that out.
Well, you see Caleb Shearer now looking to put together his Storm combo pieces with Gifts Ungiven.
You notice Cyrus is stuck on 2 lands, which is not good for him.
No, not for a big mana Scapeshift deck.
I don't see any out that Cyrus could have at this point. Maybe like a sideboard Dovin's Veto and a timely card, but Caleb's playing smart. He's got a Gifts Ungiven still in hand, Appear Through Depths. I mean, he doesn't have to even spend that this turn, potentially.
With the cost reducer out and the ability to keep the cards coming, this could be it.
This should be it, yeah.
And Caleb, I think he's incentivized really to go for it here. Not only is Cyrus short on lands, but Caleb knows he's right now there's no Teferi on the board. There's no interaction that he's expecting, I think, coming out of the hands of Cyrus on this turn. And even if we look at something like Negation, this is an opportunity for him to really keep it in mind, keep the train rolling, and sort of play around it. And now the concession comes from Cyrus. Says, I think it was fairly obvious to see the way Caleb had played that he had all the pieces that he needed to draw this match level.
Absolutely. And you notice the Spell Pierce that Caleb brought in, which I was wondering, I had in my notes, I was wondering if he was going to bring that in, because Spell Pierce is really good early against a big mana deck, but late game, Scapeshift costs 4 mana, and he's going to cast it when he has 7 mana out. That doesn't do very much. It's just a tempo play to let Caleb almost defend his own strategy, because again, Cyrus has to be reactive to Caleb, because Caleb should have the faster goldfish. Although you see, once again, Caleb does not have a great hand here.
No red to power his ramp spells, his ritual spells, and no cost reducer in the hand for Caleb Shearer now on Storm, taking on Cyrus Corman-Gill on Bring to Light SnowShift here. This is round 3, night 1, week 1 of the Modern Streamers League, and Team Ice, the St. Dooms team, not on the board yet. This is a big game 3 for you guys. You guys get to look at an 0-3 hole here, or looking to come back into this with a win.
You see Caleb nodding. He just ripped a land off the top, which is very, very good for him. I hope we can turn this around. Starting in a hole is not exactly where Team Ice wants to be.
And not just a land, a red land as well. So now the Storm Master is set up as far as the mana that he needs on an each turn basis. If they've got 2 lands and one that can produce each color, they're able to use those rituals and really make what they want. And now he's setting up the opt into opening on the mana reducer.
Of note, Cyrus does not have red mana yet. I mean, Secure Tri-Builder could grab a mountain and then he could bolt, and Cyrus could bolt this Electromancer, which I think he has to do. If he has a bolt in hand, he has to kill that Electromancer.
And really
Or bounce it. That works too.
No card draw to incentivize Shearer to go with one of his rituals into the mana reducer and then try to play it that way. So let's see the Echoing Truth, a little bit of a reduced functionality with Teferi on the board. And now the jig is up. If you're Caleb Shearer, you haven't been able to find a third land.
There was that bolt.
Cyrus Corman-Gill not having the mana issues we saw in game 2.
What helps when you land a turn 3 Teferi, which is going to draw you another card. That tempo play right there, bouncing the Electromancer, time walking Caleb, and drawing a card. Teferi right now, in a format that does not go very wide, is just letting Cyrus time walk and dig deeper into his own combo. That is a fantastic card for his deck. Awesome, awesome brew. The deck designer is actually in the chat right now.
So now Shearer trying to still work on. We've seen him be mana flooded in game 1, and he was able to pull it out there. Or he was able to not assemble the pieces after going for an early double mana Morphos and then using Past in Flame. Cyrus Corman-Gill got that. Game 2, Cyrus Corman-Gill a little bit land light. Shearer puts the pieces together and goes off. And now in game 3, we've seen it play out much like game 1 in that Shearer has had the cost reducers, but Cyrus Corman-Gill has had the 2 cards that he's really ridden to victory, and that's been early lightning bolts for the cost reducers, followed by the Teferi. So now, Grape Shot, and this may just be a value Grape Shot to take care of the Teferi. We'll see what Caleb Shearer wants to do, and he will go after the 3-mana Planeswalker.
Interesting, he's choosing not to try to cast Gifts this turn and saving it for a future turn.
Now there's the all-important 7th mana for CCG. What will he do with it here? What's the texture of his hand? I'm left to wonder with 4 cards, and I think we're about to find out.
If Scapeshift wins, or Scapeshift doesn't win at the moment, right? It's 4-7.
Yeah, I think with Caleb on 20, that one Scapeshift isn't going to do it. He's going to have to back it up with something.
Search for Tomorrow and Scapeshift would do it. Secure Tri-Builder, Scapeshift, that would do it. Acid Moss in Scapeshift. If Acid Moss comes into play tapped.
Oh my goodness. Now that Lightning Bolt may be enough as well.
Bolt and Scapeshift also gets that job done.
So it was just the 3 points that he needed. Scapeshift is going to do it here.
Beautifully done. He's still playing around Spell Pierce here, which Cyrus did see game 2.
And it looks like Team Ice is going to get on the board with their first match win here, as in the most anticipated matchup, I think, of week 1, day 1 here in the Modern Streamers League. Team Ice looking like it's finally going to break through.
We got 2 of the best-known combo players in Magic duking it out, and this is it. That's over.
That's 6 triggers for 3 apiece.
18 damage.
If Caleb, he would know right away that that's going to be enough. He's our math genius here on the Streamers League, and he's got the boogie board out right now. He's going through the numbers and figuring up that match win for Cyrus, corman-gill, and Team Ice. Team Ice playing for the Cancer Research Institute. We talked about this league being all for charity here in season 1. And the St. Doom, I just want to hang with you for a second here. Give us a little bit of insight how Modern Streamers League sort of came to be an idea that you wanted to see executed, and who, along with yourself, were the early pivotal people to get us to where we're at right now on night 1 of the Modern Streamers League.
The idea started with, I wanted to see a league like this. I actively wanted to. I was going through YouTube, I was going through Twitch, and I was like, I want more content like this. I think a little light bulb went off. Started talking with some people. Why don't we do it? Why don't we make this? I'd obviously have to give a shout out to my co-founder, Chris, better known on Reddit as ManBat. He is the one who built our beautiful website. He's made all these beautiful overlays and everything else, and I'm very excited to partner up with him. He also just got engaged, so congratulations to him. But yeah, the league started because it's something I wanted to see. And then it kind of grew, and what was going to be the motivation for the players, and then turned into becoming a charity event, which is a wonderful, wonderful idea. I wish I could take credit for it, but that was the other players. They said, "Hey, yeah, we could do this for charity. Absolutely. We don't need prize money. We can raise money for charities." So that is exactly how the league came to be. It was just something that I felt the modern community would appreciate.
And you guys decided to play for the Cancer Research Institute. There's so many people on the team affected by, in their sphere of life, cancer. Was there a chat? Was this something that just seemed organic and unanimous when the team came together? Did you lobby for charities that people had in mind? How did you guys end up settling on the Cancer Research Institute?
So there are a few different types of charities Team Ice had discussed. I'm not sure how that conversation went down with Team Fire. You can actually chat with Cat Light on Wednesday about that. Mm-hmm. But for us, there was a lot of individual players whose lives had been touched by cancer. And the Cancer Research Institute seemed like the best. I did a lot of research, finding out where the money actually goes, and that seemed like the best place to raise money for. Now, I do have to point out that this is not an American event. This is a global event. We have players in many different countries all over the world. So picking a charity that actually helps the world and not just 4.5% of the population, which is the United States of America, that is something we are really looking to nail home. And I think we did that with both charities.
Yeah, the other charity that Team Fire is fighting for, we mentioned earlier, A21, looking to end human trafficking around the world. And while it is going to be fun to track the wins and losses for Team Fire and Team Ice throughout Season 1, you can help your favorite team win the real war that's in front of us, which is raising money for those two outstanding charities. You can click and donate and support your favorite team's charity, or both of them if you've got room in both your heart and your budget for that, as you look to support both the Cancer Research Institute and A21, the two charities that Team Ice and Team Fire are playing for here during Season 1. The St. Doom, your match comes up on Wednesday against my former podcast broadcast partner, Matt Hurley, from the Tryhards. You two have a little bit of history together prior to this match. You guys have known each other away from Magic a bit. Magic brought you together. I know you guys have collaborated on some things. Can you give us a little tease, a little preview of the match that we're going to see on Wednesday?
Absolutely. I feel like Matt picked his deck fully game planning what he thought I was going to pick, and he has the perfect foil to my deck. I am on Druid Karn, a devoted Druid list, running Karn the Great Creator instead of Duskwatch Recruiter to kind of grab Ballista out of the side and to generate a little bit more value. And he has Harsh Mentor main, so it's gonna be really tough. It's gonna be a lot of fun. But he's running a Jund list with Harsh Mentor main, just a spicy, grindy deck, which is something that I know he values.
I know you're familiar with big mana decks. Matt's MO is kind of playing oddball decks, and he likes to put a lot of permanents onto the battlefield. So we'll see how those two strategies match up when we have your match coming up on Wednesday. St. Doom, thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight on night one of the Modern Streamers League, your baby that we're all getting to watch now.
Oh, thanks for having me. Love seeing you guys.
Coming up, we'll have round 4 of night 1. It's going to be Garrett Martin, and he's going to take on DaviusMinimus. It's going to see if we can draw Team Ice level at 2 apiece, or will Team Fire go up 3-1? That and Guano Maestro returns. It's next. This is the Modern Streamers League. This is the Modern Streamers League. It's night 1, day 1.
Here we go.
And Team Fire is already taking advantage of Team Ice as they're up 2-1 after 3 rounds. Round 4 is upon us. You see the man, Garrett Martin, the Purple Mage. We're going to see Guano Maestro joining me again. Sean Secrease with you. fair type magic coming up in this round, Guano. We saw a combo in the last round with Storm against Scapeshift, Bring the Light. Now we're going to see two players that want to put creatures into play. Garrett's on Abzan Coco. He's going to unfairly put fair creatures into play. And then we're going to see, and this is the deck that I'm most excited to see. Maybe the last round matchup was the one I wanted to see most between Caleb and Cyrus. This is the deck that I want to see most. DaviusMinimus is on 5-color Niv-Mizzet Reborn.
Yes, this Niv-Mizzet deck is amazing. It's just watching it do what it does, even as an opponent, is just like, so I lose. Okay, good.
You throw in the value proposition of Niv-Mizzet Reborn, grabbing you extra cards with the explosive mana of Modern and the better mana base that Modern affords you. We're already seeing things like Pillar of the Perins, allowing him to come off and join Birds of Paradise on turn 2. And I'm anxious to see where this goes. This one is going to be a lot of fun. You can check out the deck lists below us as they're all up for the first half of Season 1 here in the Modern Streamers League on Night 1. So Garrett trying to put together, he's got the Gavany Township, he's got the Temple Guard now.
Like he's going to get his Druid back.
And now we see the value engine from his side. And this, there's a real misnomer, Guano, about this Abzan Coco list, that it's Coco or bust. And that's really not the case anymore.
Oh, man, that Vizier, Devoted Druid with Walking Ballista in hand. All right, that's not what he wanted to see there. Taking the Ballista out of his hand. He still has his big mana ramp. I mean, he can do his Gavany Township, keep a couple whites up. Oh, he took the Druid. Very good.
Yeah.
Dirty. That Thought Erasure from Standard is coming out of nowhere.
Well, you might think, why Thought Erasure over Thought Seize? I think it's, if you can afford to pay the 2 mana for it, the Surveil isn't nothing. I mean, that's nothing to scoff at. That's a powerful sort of deck filtering tool stapled onto what's, for all intents and purposes, a Thought Seize.
Agreed.
So now the bird's going to go away. And board control looking like it's on Garrett's side right now. We're seeing this from his perspective. Team Fire on the bottom half of the screen, behind victories from HellKat and Dido in rounds 1 and 2, up 2 matches to 1 over Team Ice, who got off the bench with a victory from Cyrus Corman-Gill in the last round. Can Garrett make it a sure win night for Team Fire with a win in this match? They'd get to 3 victories, and they would know they would have at least a 3-2 lead heading into night 2 coming up on Wednesday. And you mentioned, Guano, that we've been watching the players sort of play for most of the night. We saw Kat in the first round and her expressive reactions. We saw the very professorial demeanor of the math professor and Caleb Shearer last round. And now Garrett, I think he kind of plays like I do. He's kind of fidgety and he's looking for his stuff. And for a minute there, I thought I might be watching your stream again, because I know you're kind of a fidgeter.
Definitely. And the way he's got his camera too, he's kind of like creeping, right? I mean, he's like this. He's like, I don't know if I want. All right. Come back, and he only wants to watch with one eye, it seems like.
Well, right now, he's watching this 5-color Niv-Mizzet deck get perilously close to a turn where it can start to deploy its enormous haymakers. And I wonder, when you get this matchup and the decks become public, if Garrett's thinking, man, why did I have to take this thing on in round 1? Just this monstrosity of a deck that's got all of these haymakers. Here we're seeing Bring the Light for the second time tonight in a second match, and that's going to get him the Niv-Mizzet on the top of the deck, kind to DaviusMinimus. 5-color Niv-Mizzet. What's he going to be able to do with the EBT trigger?
Looks like he's going back to get his Druid.
So does he have enough time to set up that value circle on Garrett's side?
He's thinking now. Not happy. Look at the look on his face. Is a very unhappy look.
He knows the reveals from Niv-Mizzet. And I'm starting to think that after Niv-Mizzet, the scariest card might be that Bloodbraid Elf, a card that was once just a devastating part of Jund at its height, that is going to be able to bring him a lot of value when that Cascade trigger hits. This Cascade, though, isn't as focused as you see in some of the other decks that are strictly set up to abuse it, with some of the graveyard-based strategies, like living and those sort of.
Fiery Justice. That's
Naya has come to net out its justice here for Niv-Mizzet. And here comes the big dragon.
Wow. That's not what you want to see.
So Niv-Mizzet in for a first hit.
Main deck Plague Engineer.
It's interesting. I mean, if you've got the ability to recur, and what we're seeing is, they call it Abzan Collected Company, but this feels to me a lot more like the old style rock value decks is what you seriously have here, as opposed to the one-way street of the explosive. We're going to get Druid into infinite spears from the ballista, or we're going to Coco. Now you've got the ability to sort of play this value control engine game too.
A little Bloodbraid coming into trophy. That's definitely survivable.
The downside to trophy being that in a format that is often prepared for Path to Exile, they're probably going to have targets. So he does get the swamp. Now, how does Garrett Martin decide to play this out? Going to block the Bloodbraid, trade there.
He's got
so now he's on a one-turn clock. Now, does he get Plague Engineer involved here? I would think yes. That's got to be the line. Is he going to give up the bird, or is he going to give up the attack and then give up the witness to try to witness back again if he can set up that graveyard loop? Be interesting to see.
If you still got the Kolaghan's Command, though, I mean, that bird is toast, right?
Yeah, that's what I think. You can't rely on that because now you know.
And knowing's half the battle.
I was glad you also grew up with G.I. Joe.
All right.
And there it is. DaviusMinimus and his 5-color Niv-Mizzet deck takes down game 1 for Team Ice. He's looking to draw him level at 2 apiece, man. This night looked bleak for Team Ice at the outset as Hellcat rolled out and just showed off the power of that blue-red Phoenix deck early, taking down GhostxEmpire on Dredge. But all of a sudden, Team Ice seems to have gotten its sort of footing with the big win by Cyrus corman-gill. And now, what tools does Garrett Martin have to come back in this matchup? I'll be interested to see what he is going to Revelark coming out of the board. Okay.
Looks like Team Ice is starting to snowball, Sean.
It really does.
Sorry.
Revelark, there's a card that it's been a minute, since it was a major power player, I think, in Modern. And it'll be interesting to see how it really works for this Abzan Rock, Abzan Coco deck. Knowing that you're on the other side with just a monstrosity of powerful, multicolored haymakers. Can Garrett execute a plan before the game gets too deep? I like the combo.
It's got to be a race, right? I mean,
main deck.
Keeping him off his 5 colors is key.
Yeah, and that's where Path to Exile, you can see it in Garrett's face. He's in the rocking chair a little bit over it because not only is it ramp, but it also is fixing for that 5-color deck, depending upon the basic lands that DaviusMinimus has available to go get. And you can look through his mana base and see the way he has it set up. So is it going to be risk to reward on the ratio for Garrett Martin bringing in the Path to Exiles?
Well, he's got to have something to get rid of that Niv-Mizzet. I mean, he's a beast.
Yeah. And once Niv-Mizzet's on the board, your opponent has the 5 colors. So what's the drawback? The Path to Exile at that point.
Yeah, agreed.
So that may be where he's looking to leverage it. So we'll see what he takes out. How far is he Is he going to get away from some of the Devoted Druid combo? He's really thinking about it right now.
He's definitely using all of his time.
He's got 15 in that he wants. Now he needs to put 1 in if he's going to get away from Devoted Druid. And he went with the extra Path to Exile there at the last second, bringing in the 3rd. Let's see if this pays off. Garrett Martin looking for the comeback win in round 4 here against DaviusMinimus. One more match to come after this one tonight. We're going to see RJ Benson 13 on Blue-White Control take on KoDiamonds, who's going to be on Abzan Midrange. So we're going to have a classic Midrange versus Control battle coming up in round 5.
I'll pop some popcorn for that one.
I take mine with extra butter. And fight me if you want to, but that's the way you should eat popcorn. Lots of salt, lots of butter.
Agreed. And it doesn't even have to be butter either. It can just be that grease at the movie theater. Just pump that grease in there. Butter-flavored grease. Speaking of MTG. Sorry.
Garrett off to a good start here with rounds 1 and 2, deploying all his mana. Now, we've seen more snow permanents tonight than I thought we might. Considering that one of the things that Team Fire talked about in their deck building was no snow. I actually have that underlined on my notes from their deck building night. And they were adamant about not messing with the snow archetypes.
Right.
And we've seen Team Ice being the one go after it. What with the Scapeshift deck and now Minimus as his quote-unquote basics in Niv-Mizzet. And that's going to do it. Martin, he's going to pick that up. Too much mana
quick.
Trouble for Minimus. Yep. And we're on to a quick game 3.
That is the drawback of a 5-color deck. If you do not hit your land drops and you do not get your mana quickly, you are in big trouble.
Yeah, it's just one more stumbling block that you put in front of yourself, and we saw him pay the price for it in that round. As they get set for game 3 in round 4, you have an opportunity to make a difference while you're enjoying the most popular non-rotating format in Magic, the fastest growing one for certain. This is the Modern Streamers League, and these two teams, Team Fire and Team Ice, are playing this season for charity. Team Fire has gotten behind A21, a worldwide charity looking to end human trafficking around the globe. And Team Ice, they've gotten behind the Cancer Research Institute. They look into all forms of cancer and look to battle it on every front. You want to support your teams. You want to support the charities that they're giving their time and effort for with this 10-week Modern Streamers League. Check them out, Team Fire, A21, and Team Ice supporting the Cancer Research Institute throughout this 10-week Modern Streamers League. Garrett Martin's teed up. He's back on the draw against DaviusMinimus here in game 3.
We're looking good. He's got a turn 1 Thoughtseize, so always a solid start.
I think especially against the deck that you just saw struggle to develop its mana in the last game as well. You got to go with the turn 1 Thoughtseize. Right now, he doesn't have any other turn 1 plays, so I think that's an easy one. But yeah, I would probably lean on the turn 1 Thoughtseize over a Birds of Paradise or something along those lines. We see him go to 6 to start. But there's the Birds, a key play from a 5-color deck. Will he go for the untapped black? Yeah, I think it's absolutely worth it in this situation, considering you've got your turn 2 play mapped out and your turn 3 play based on your hand, barring your draw, is already mapped out.
There we go.
Safe Right Quest. Lightning Helix. That's the other side to playing a 5-color deck like Minimus has decided to play, Guano. You mentioned it. Your land doesn't come together, you're hosed. We saw that in game 2. But when your land does come together, you've got access to the most powerful, most efficient spells that are available in Modern.
Agreed. So basically here he's just taking the life away from him. So he can't gain life. He sacrifices his own guy.
But he's a couple turns away. Garrett Martin is from Revelark here. And if really all he can deploy is Kitchen Finks, that looks mopey in the face of a possible turn 5 Niv-Mizzet on the other side of the board. And you could see Garrett shake his head when his draw just revealed another land.
At least it's a draw land, though. I mean, he can get into something. And that's what looks like he just drew another card there. Sacking your lands, though, as a 5-color deck has got to be sketchy.
So now the pillar back into play. That gets 1 mana of any color. So the color types are covered right now for DaviusMinimus. He just needs volume. And he's got the Mox coming off suspend, it looks like.
Mox Tantalite. Sounds like
sounds
like a book.
And this could be it here. Is this going to be the dragon? That's one of each. And Garrett Martin feels it coming.
Oh.
You can see it on the screen. Oh, he's going to go
face palm.
Like the dragon in game 1. Garrett just chewing his fingernails in anticipation of what's going to come off the top of the deck. Bring the light right now. You can see on the stack. And there's the dragon.
Yikes.
And
just
one,
a handful
two,
of beautiful
three,
cards.
3 spells, all deployable. Now you're looking at when Minimus untaps, he's going to have 6 mana available to him. So he's going to have any 2 of those 3 cards available, plus whatever else is in his hand. And he's got 4 total. We know about the 3, about the Charm, the Trophy, and the K command. And if you're looking at the small creatures on Garrett Martin's side of the board right now, that K command has to be a mouth-watering option to take another card out of his hand, to take one of those small creatures away.
He's looking pretty good, though, with the Assassin's Trophy. He's got a card to discard and an answer for Niv-Mizzet. So, but the so many cards in the hand right now, and they're all just, I mean, so much.
Now, what do you do here? Do you throw the Revel Art out the door? Or do you go take the hit?
He did. He took it.
Assassin's Trophy, and that's the line that Garrett Martin's taken, yeah. Game 3, round 4, Team Fire on top, 2 matches to 1. And right now, if they want to go to 3 and lock up week 1's advantage, Garrett Martin's going to have to find a line against this 5-color beast from DaviusMinimus.
Another fiery coming up.
The Charm, the Trophy, and the K command all revealed off the trigger from Niv-Mizzet Reborn. And there's Naya coming to knock on the door again. And you can see on Garrett Martin's face what he thinks of his odds of winning this game are right now.
The justice. All right.
Revel Art going to pay its dividends. And the Charm in shock mode for two mana shock, but when you've got the mana and it answers the question.
Ooh.
Martin pulls off the hat when he sees Eldamri's call.
Yep. He's 2 cards down. He needs the combo and an answer, though, too. He needs an answer.
He's got a little life. He's on 19. Yep. Niv-Mizzet's going to hit you for 6. Birds still a 0-1. So he's got a couple of turns to play with here, and there is a collected. He's got to like seeing that collected company.
He nodded when he said that. That was great. But the bummer with the Finks is that it's already got the -1/-1 counter on it. So if it dies, it's still going to stay in the graveyard. It's not coming back out. Let's see.
This is a big Coco.
Agree. This could be the one. I mean, it's pretty much win or lose right here. He's got a couple more options, but
and that gives him, actual feasible choices. One of the downsides of Coco is that the Spear Spewer doesn't do you any good. Yeah. Walking Ballista is a 0-0 coming in off of Coco. So he gets 3 choices that will stick on the board. Goes with the Finks, and the Duskwatch.
Just keeping them alive.
Right. Buying those extra turns, and can he get the value engine going with Duskwatch Recruiter? He's got Eladamiri's Call, and he's got the Assassin's Trophy, but he is tapped out.
And, I mean, next turn he can draw a card, too, with that Nurturing Peatland, so lots of different options going. Oh, big decision here.
Yeah.
Oh, he gets rid of this trophy.
And that with K-Command, 2 matches in a row, Guado. It has just been brutal, the work that we've seen it do.
Agreed.
We saw it in the Grixis Shadow match against Bloom Titan.
Trying to make it happen. Trying to move it forward.
Yeah, aggro Finks now from Martin. And maybe that's not an insurmountable line to take to race with the Finks gaining you life. Your opponent's on 13.
And I mean, if he searches with the call and gets the Vizier, he can. I mean, he can't really block with it, but he can attack and try to gain life. And I mean, so many different options with the Vizier and the Kitchen Finks there. You can just keep bringing him back.
If you're loving any of these decks tonight, and I think that the next thing I do is probably going to be to either work on or tweak on this 5-color Niv-Mizzet deck from DaviusMinimus. It's Hit Up Card Hoarder. They've got everything you need. Proud sponsors of bringing you the Modern Streamers League here on night 1, week 1, and they can make sure that you can play any of these decks. You need a few cards to round out what you've got and get going.
Got the Revelark. Look at this line right here.
I mean, the value engine is running now for Martin, but is it enough to overcome Niv-Mizzet Reborn?
I don't know. It's rough right now. If he had a Vizier in the graveyard, I feel like that would be the ideal Revelark, but it doesn't look like he's got it right now. I mean, Revelark's going to be a decent chump for Niv-Mizzet too, so giving him a few more turns. Seems like Davius has kind of hit a wall a little bit. He hasn't really done too much other than just attack these last few turns. I mean, he's had a little bit of interaction, but it seems like Garrett really has had the right cards to counteract that interaction and come back and still have decent plays and ways to give himself the advantage.
Well, and I'm impressed that Garrett's steered this match to where it is right now and now we're going to see another big play with a Dragon coming right out from DaviusMinimus, because Garrett Martin had that blank draw on turn 3. He played the Mopey Kitchen Finks, and then after drawing another land, we really didn't know if it was going to get to this point, but he was able to string it together, and you can see Garrett's
look at unhappy. I mean, look at all the different cards he's got. Look at the options here. Jeez Louise, he drew 2 lands in that whole stack. Yikes.
Dragon can get essentially 1 card from each guild is the way to remember that. And boy, did DaviusMinimus load up on that. I think that might be too much value. And Garrett, Garrett is. Yeah. We've all been where Garrett is. And he fought so hard after those back-to-back land draws in turns 2 through 4, because he led off on the turn 1 Thoughtseize. And now all of a sudden, Minimus, who's really, you called it earlier, Guano, the land sacrifices. He didn't get to 5 mana on turn 4 where it looked like he could be with the turn 1 birds, but the Tantalite comes off suspend, and now the world's his oyster.
Yeah, just that pull with that Niv-Mizzet was just, I mean, godlike. What, you put 5-6 cards in your hand off 1? Jeez.
Well, and you have a 6/6 flyer. Let's not understate that. That's on the board. And yeah, you've just absolutely, I think reloaded is an understatement when you pick up 6 cards and a 6/6 flyer for 5 mana. So we'll see if Garrett can figure a way out. But right now, one of my absolute favorite cards in the history of Magic being deployed, a Johnny Vengeant. This is going to keep something locked down on Garrett's side. And if this game goes long enough, a one-sided Armageddon isn't out of the possibilities. And that will shut down the value engine that Garrett has going, because he needs to be able to cast the Revel Arcs and cast the Eternal Witnesses in order to keep that up. And now the Enchantment Centaur from Theros block.
He's got a path, though, for Niv-Mizzet, so, I mean, is there a... nope, no counters. He's getting it. He's still in this.
Just an embarrassment of riches on Davius' side after that last Niv-Mizzet. But the path may string the game out long enough, because the only attacker that Davius has for all of that card advantage is the one Dragon. Is the Niv-Mizzet Reborn.
He does have 5 cards in his hand, though, so or four. I'm sorry. Now he's got 3 after playing that land. All right, he's still in the game. Still in it. Here we go.
This is just finding every line from Garrett right now. Can he start thinking about using this township to shorten the clock? Davius at 13. And at this point, I wonder, does he want to protect the Ajani and use it to lock down and keep any pressure off of him? Like, how Davius continues to use that Ajani should be interesting, but what's he going for here? Do we have a third?
It must be. Oh, man.
That is a disgusting find off the top. A third.
Well, that was with the the Kolgon's command, right?
Mm-hmm.
He brought it. Yeah, Kolgon's command it back into his hand.
Yeah, you're right. He did. He didn't find that raw off the top, but now there's no answer apparent for Garrett.
Yeah, he needed to have that collected company into his hand. That would have been
back to not. But... So he buys himself another turn. Well, Ajani has the Lightning Helix ability on the Planeswalker, so that may not be enough, because that's going to be 6, and then Ajani can tick downstairs.
Woo!
And what a win by DaviusMinimus. Round 4 goes to Team Ice, and they have drawn level 2-2 on opening night of the Modern Streamers League. Guano, I was looking forward to that match because we were going to see creatures in play after the combo deck Winter that we saw in round 3. Teasing. If you go back to combo Winter like I do, hopefully you can remember history without being scarred by Magic's past. But seeing some great creatures on the board and 2 vastly different strategies to utilize those creatures with Abzan Coco versus Niv-Mizzet Reborn, but both decks really being value trains. That was a lot of fun to watch.
Agreed. Getting to cast Niv-Mizzet 3 times in one game is, if you can win against that, then your Magic skills are better than mine. DaviusMinimus, he played those cards, and I mean, Garrett you could see the look on his face. You know, he had lots of recurrences, using his Revel Arc, bringing his guys back in, trying to counteract the effects that Niv-Mizzet had, giving him all those cards, and he just couldn't overcome it. You can't blame him, you know?
And Garrett Martin, my early favorite for my favorite member of the Modern Streamers League, because we seem to play Magic in the same default experience, which is with pain. You just saw pain on his face the whole time, and I feel like that's what I have on my face most of the time when I play Magic, whether it's online or in person. Garrett fought as hard as he could, just couldn't get the matchup there with 5-color Niv-Mizzet Reborn. That means which team, Team Fire, Team Ice, takes the lead after week 1 will all be decided in round 5. RJ Benson 13 on blue-white control for Team Fire is going to try and take down KoDiamonds, who's on Abzan Midrange. Night 1 of the Modern Streamers League is decided for Team Ice and Team Fire. Next, this is the Modern Streamers League.
phase one?
This is week one of the Modern Streamers League. I'm Sean Seacrease along with Guano Maestro. Thank you for joining us this morning, this afternoon, this evening, wherever you are. But before we say goodnight, one more match to go. Will Team Fire take the lead? Will Team Ice have the lead after night one? Looked like Team Fire was just going to burn the house down when things started.
Oh, yeah.
Wins from HellKat and then Dido in round two. Well, Team Ice shut them down in the next two rounds. Cyrus, corman-gill, and DaviusMinimus. Guano, give me your prediction for this one. We're going to see the Robcaster Mage 13 on blue-white control try and take down KoDiamonds, who's on Abzan mid. This is mid-range. This is control. Who do you think gets this one?
Blue-white control has been positioned really well, and I mean, it just seems like they've had an event. You see him top 8 in almost every tournament, so I mean, it's obviously Abzan going to have a lot more powerful cards, but it just, if you got stuff to do, you can stop them. You can stop them. That's pretty much what all blue-white control wants to do. Stop them and take control.
Team Fire with Robcaster Mage 13. You see on the bottom of the screen there, and we'll see Rob and his reactions throughout the match. Sean along with Guano, thank you for hanging out with us this evening. These two teams playing for charity. Team Fire playing for A21, looking to end human trafficking around the world, and Team Ice playing for the Cancer Research Institute, a leader in the research and hopefully the eradication of cancers of all kinds that face everyone around the world today. Robcaster Mage on the blue-white control. Really, he's off to a running start here. He's got his lands. He can deploy them on time. He's got efficient answers and some card selection, and then he's got one of the big hammers of the deck, that Cryptic Command, that's going to come online on turn 4, and he's already got one the preferred finisher, really, in Celestial Colonnade that he was able to get out on turn 1. So I think if you're sitting in blue-white control spot, you know, okay, there's a Scavenging Ooze on the other side, but nothing in the graveyard. You got to feel pretty good right now.
Yeah, he's only going to eat his own creatures because blue-white control, maybe some snappies, but that's about it.
Abzan mid without white so far. But really, Guano, when you say Abzan mid, you know, this is the spine of the old green-black X decks, right? Some of them stay green-black. Some of them have used red over the years for some Jund. We've seen white certainly be popular with Abzan of all kinds, whether it's aggro or cocoa. But the spine of these decks is really that green-black that holds the deck together, and then you get your flavor to taste from whatever third color you bring with you.
Speaking of flavor to taste, that Hex Drinker's dirty. You let that thing sit around too long, and you are in big, big trouble.
Another new addition for Modern Horizons. And we really didn't see the first time that we saw the level up creatures. When it was levels, it really didn't have that big of an impact in any format, even standard at the time. The last real quote unquote, if I could use the term level up creature, even though that wasn't the name of the mechanic, that's what it did, was you have to go all the way back to the original one in Lorwyn block. You know, when you had the Boros Spirit, the Kithkin that you could level up at instant speed as the game wore on, and you saw control decks use it because it was a great mana sink. And since then, level really hasn't been a competitive presence, but is the Drinker going to be enough to turn that around? Here's Narset, another big piece. And now we saw, even before the advent of War of the Spark and the 3-mana Planeswalkers, the blue-white deck had adopted Teferi and Jace split. These decks now, with having 2 impact 3-drop Planeswalkers, boy, this is going to be tough to beat.
Yep, and going back to the Figure of Destiny, I mean, that was also instant speed, whereas now when they figured out the level up, I mean, they slowed that down a lot, so it wasn't so, I mean, you could just save your mana, and at the end of the turn, just make you do the monster, so. No,
there are many times I dump 6 into a Figure of Destiny, so yeah, I'm familiar with that, but will the Abzan attack be concerned at all with Narset here? I'm interested to see where KoDiamonds wants to go, or if he's just going to put maximum pressure on Rob Castor's Mage Life. Once Narset off the board, White now has showed up, of course, for KoDiamonds, and they're not heavy white, so 1 is plenty.
If right now, if he chooses to up his Hex Drinker next turn, it's protection from everything. So he's going up to 5 next turn, then he can go to 8, and then that's it.
Yeah, that's interesting, because you know that the blue-white deck, sure, they're going to have some Path to Exiles, but you know, they're mostly going to come at you with a couple of sweepers. So the protection, you know, that doesn't really work against destroy effects. This is going to be little Teferi. Interesting. I'm going to hold up the Spell Snare and look to get the Drinker on the way back down.
Drinker's actually 1. So
oh, is it? Okay, my mistake.
Snare would not work.
Yeah, thank you. One of those new cards from Modern Horizons. Not all of them have fully sort of congealed in my brain just yet.
Excellent brain image right there. Brain congealing.
Teferi. Will Rob get to untap with it? I have to say no. If I'm KoDiamonds, I've got to go after the Teferi here, because Rob's not in a life range where you're looking for, you know, a 1-shot or a 1-turn kill, and there goes Teferi.
Yeah.
Drinker
comes back down again.
The 1-mana Drinker. Gonna level up.
Man.
So I would be tempted here to go Jace plus. Put him to 5 loyalty and put KoDiamonds to the test. But we'll see what Rob Castor makes.
Oh, Force of Negation. That's a pretty good pull right there. He can do that. I mean, that Spell Snare basically actually has a purpose now.
Yes.
He could just hold open the Cryptic when he tries to. Yeah, there's a lot of options right here. You know,
and
counter, pop that Hex Drinker back into his hand.
Yeah, and you might see Rob Castor Mage just go for the mana development line here, because he's got the Celestial Colonnade there on the left, and he can fetch, not take mana burn, and then he can hold up the.
I don't mean to interrupt you here, but I just saw some on chat. I think we might have a trade for a ham sandwich from one team to another for a player. I'm not sure if this is an official trade. We're definitely going to have to go with St. Doom on the call on this one.
I want to know who's giving up the ham sandwich and what player they want in return, and who's getting rooked in that trade.
I like ham sandwiches, so I think that's definitely a personal choice there.
They're talking about trading me.
Oh, got it.
Team Ice would give up St. Doom for a ham sandwich. Well, if that ham sandwich has a good Dijon mustard and a good baby Swiss on maybe a nice rye, I mean, it's hard to compete with that. Maybe some fresh spinach on there.
And would St. Doom walk your dog, too?
We'll see how that prospective trade works out. Thoughtseize with the alternate art. I am a fan. I know that is a sometimes highly contentious opinion in the larger Magic community, but I like a lot of the masterpiece arts.
Egyptian themed. I did like that set too. I'm very much into Egypt and the history of Egypt.
What is the Thoughtseize going to take? And this just tells you, I think, how far out in front right now Robcaster Mage is, because KoDiamonds is struggling to think about what he wants to take. And you can see Robcaster Mage working it on his stream, talking it through.
He took the snap.
Yeah. Well, I think once you see that Robcaster has the 6th land in hand, allowing him to go Cryptic Command, Snap Cryptic is just a deadly series of plays. Yeah. And KoDiamonds has really been stuck on 3 lands for about 3 or 4 turns now.
And Hex Drinker's just a little baby snake right now. He's not a big boy. He's just a little baby snake.
It's a 2nd level.
Man. KoDiamonds is having a rough time, though, with those 3 lands. I mean, he's got a card. Yeah. He's got a land draw. He had draw land, one of the new ones. But, I mean, you can't use it because you've only got 3. That's going to put you down to 2. So you're just defeating your purpose. It's... Man.
And here comes...
End of turn Cryptic.
Yeah. I would think this would be bounce draw if you're going end of turn Cryptic.
Oh.
Now, Robcaster Mage can eliminate all the threats on the deck. If he elects to go for... is it enough value to get a 1/1? Or maybe you can go Jace minus here. I think we might see that. You can go Jace -1, put the Drinker back in hand. You could go +2 and Fate Seal and go up to 5, which I would also like.
He put it back.
It's not a bad play.
9 is a lot of life. 9 is a lot of life for a control deck, and especially if you're matched up against another deck that's only got 3 lands. I mean, he's just trying to keep things on the board right now.
You got 9 life, 6 mana, and an active Mind Sculptor.
Yikes.
So yeah, he's way out in front now. And the Spell Snare. Just cleaning up.
Feels like KoDiamonds forgot about that card.
Well, he knew he was... I think the Spell Snare was known information off the Thoughtseize, and he knew he was going to have to deal with it at some point. So is he willing... did he forget, or did he just felt willing to make the Scoos trade? I have to give KoDiamonds credit that he might have just wanted to make the Scoos trade there. But now, Baby Teferi. This is Baby Teferi. He's going to come down.
Not good. Turn 7, 3 mana for KoDiamonds.
That Drinker's been bounced more often than a basketball. That is been brutal, as KoDiamonds can't keep anything on board. Path is up. Snapcaster Mage is up. 4 mana.
Yeah.
And I think if you're Robcaster, you might just let this go. What 1 card are you worried about your opponent taking when you've got Jace and Teferi? And you could start attacking with Colonnade next turn if you wanted to.
And you've got Force of Negation up with a pass and, whatever you want.
Yeah, this might just be a case of, okay, take whatever you want. Because if you don't take the Snapcaster as KoDiamonds, the only thing you're really getting rid of is the Detention Sphere. And what's Detention Sphere right now? You can't even keep creatures on the board if you're KoDiamond, so you're really worried about a Detention Sphere.
Agreed.
It's an interesting question.
Well, this game's going so slow. Robcaster Mage has a beautiful pile of laundry in his background over there. I wonder if that's dirty or clean laundry. Not sure.
Now, we do have a feature where in the coming episodes of the Modern Streamers League, we're going to get to know our streamers. Tonight, we wanted to keep the focus on the matches that were played, give you a chance to check out ModernStreamersLeague.com. Manbat did a wonderful job with the development of ModernStreamersLeague.com. It's got all the information on the players, all the information about what we're up to on a week-to-week basis. You can check out our sponsors, Hoarder and Card Kingdom. All the information is there. And if you want to find out about A21, the charity that Team Fire is playing for, the end human trafficking around the world, you can check it out on our Twitch page, twitch.tv, and just search Modern Streamers League. And you can also find out about the Cancer Research Institute that Team ICE is playing for. Rob Caster,
a little bit angry about my comment in the chat there. Hey, you're the one that made this video, sir. And you're playing a blue-white deck, so like we need to fill the time, man. I mean, what am I going to talk about?
Maybe we'll have an answer to the state of the laundry debate. Another set is added to the team. It's Team Blue-White that is running away with this one. And this is what it looks like when Control runs away with a game. It grinds nearly to a halt. You can't really get anything done on the other side of the table. And after a Kozilek's intuition earlier and a Thoughtseize, KoDiamonds knows pretty much that Rob Caster Mage's hand is full.
Yeah. I mean, KoDiamond's hand is full too, but he just doesn't have any mana. We're on turn 9. He's still on 3.
Finds a 4.
2 paths, right? He's cast 2 paths. Oh, no, just 1 path so far. Okay.
Finds a 4th off the path. Now another Scavenging Ooze and the Hex Drinker. I just don't see KoDiamonds right now being able to make inroads into Rob Caster Mage's suite of Planeswalkers that are giving him an advantage. And here's going to come down the Snapcaster Mage and give him even more. Be interesting what he wants to go for here. I don't know if I'd want to give my rock opponent a 5th land off another Path to Exile, but he may feel comfortable enough with the Detention Sphere backup to do just that.
That's a nice little flyer right there. Getting a little hand disruption.
The old art op.
Oh, and he just found another Colonnade. Oh.
The pieces are coming together.
Man, look at that timely reinforcements too. Just so dirty. He's got less creatures, less life. He can just jump.
With Jason 2, does he go for the Fate Seal here? And who do you Fate Seal? I think at this point in the game where you want to make sure that you're just continuing to draw answers, there's plenty of reason to Fate Seal yourself at this point.
Oh, he's going to Fate Seal KoD.
Yeah, the only thing I don't like about this, and I've played Jace quite a bit in Legacy, is one of the downsides to Fate Seal and to Thoughtseize is you can't Thoughtseize the top of their deck. You're kind of half doing that with Fate Seal, but if you like to push it down, you know, what is that raw draw going to be for your opponent?
Right. And with Teferi right now, he can instant speed timely reinforcements. So,
yes.
I mean, that's just dirty in its own right.
And he's got plenty of mana up, does Rob Caster Mage. He's looking at instant speed timely, and Vendilion Click already has flash. So he can elect to lock it in the draw step if he wants to and try and push. Now will we see Force of Negation? And he could retail it. I think that's what we're going to see. Retail costs being paid on Force of Negation.
Another one? Perhaps? No, the Fatal Push.
But the instant speed ability to deploy timely reinforcements is going to, I think, negate the pressure that KoDiamonds thinks he might be able to bring here.
I agree.
And it's going to be a full-powered timely reinforcements.
Well, and he might have another Fatal Push, but, I mean, he's still going to be able to kill one Hex Drinker for sure. Maybe he double blocks the Hex Drinker just in case.
I could see that line. How does Rob Caster Mage want to deploy his three soldiers rather that he just made.
Plus, he just jumped up into 14 life, which is such a huge swing.
Both of them look like the pressure and Jace wants to go after the Scavenging Ooze here.
Oh, dirty. Oh, so he has to choose one or the other, I guess, huh? Oh, no, redeploy.
See if he's going to lock this in.
He has a green. Is there a creature? They've got a Snapcaster in the graveyard, right? Making him a 3/3. I was surprised he did that, but I guess he had to make a choice, one or the other.
Sure. And it also forces KoDiamonds into that angle if he wants to keep the Scavenging Ooze, which can then be bounced probably the next turn. Are you willing to give up the Teferi here? Oh, Jace is at 4.
Doing the Fate Seal.
Yeah.
Fatal Push. I mean, he's got so many options right now. Detention Sphere. He can do another Narset. Vendilion Click on his draw step. I mean, this is just...
And how much are you worried about a single Fatal Push? You just drew another Colonnade. And yeah, that's a bit of a mana swing, but as a control deck, you don't care. You're on 14.
Here comes the Sphere.
Interesting that he's willing to do this 1-for-1 now with the Sphere on the Scavenging Ooze. We're going to see a draw step Vendilion Click.
Here it comes.
Oh, Click comes down. This will be Rob Mage's last play this turn.
He could go draw a card with his Peatland. Oh, and he gets the scoop.
And he can't because with Narset on the board, he drew his card for the turn and he was locked, so he wasn't going to get the push draw off of the Vendilion Click either.
But that's okay. Even if he doesn't get the draw, though, it will leave the battlefield, which makes his Fatal Push active for the click.
Sure. I think at that point, though, with what Robcaster Mage had, triple Colonnade that he could then start hammering with, not all in one turn, obviously, but I don't think he was worried about a removal spell there because he was rolling so deep on those Colonnades. And KoDiamonds was at 12, when that fundamental turn sequence started to present itself. So increments of 4, if he wanted to go in that way, he could have put up a 3-turn clock or with a couple more lands, maybe activated 2 of them. So interesting the way that game played out in the end. But I think the big factor there, Guano, KoDiamonds, he just took so long to get off 3 mana that he gave the blue-white deck almost infinite turns, it felt like, to set up.
Yeah, when you're slow on mana and you're up against blue-white control and they're just drawing cards every turn, getting anything they want. They've got active Planeswalkers out. I mean, a lot of people get mad at me about this, but I am not a fan of blue-white control. So one of the strategies in MTGO that I utilize is I try to play faster than my opponent and force them to kill me. So I actually use the clock against my opponent. I know people do not like when you play like that, but it is seriously the only deck that I play against like that is blue-white control. I force them to make sure they have to have a win condition every single game to kill me. So that's just me, though.
We'll see game 2. Can Robcaster pick up the clean sweep for Team Fire? I've been really impressed with Team Fire so far tonight. We saw Cat at the beginning. Dido was great. Caleb Shearer is fantastic. Garrett, he lost that match to Niv-Mizzet in the end, but I thought the way he played, he really made that more of a fight than we thought he was going to be able to make it. And even in defeat, I thought his deck showed really well in Abzan Coco. And now Robcaster Mage just put on a clinic in game 1. And even though the matches are even at 2-2 right now, Team Fire right now feels like they've got something going to me here on night 1 of week 1 of the Modern Streamers League. Guano, are you making the case that Team Fire is on the comeback, or are you kind of seeing what I'm seeing here?
Well, I just like that it's going to be a 3-2. Whoever wins, it's going to be 3-2. It's not like it was a 5-0 sweep. It's like very good teams, really good Magic being played, really entertaining games. This is all you can really ask for in any kind of modern tournament. Plus, we get to look at the guys, right? I mean, usually when you're playing MTGO, you don't get to see what the guy's looking like on the other side, but we get to watch all their expressions, everything that they're doing.
And Robcaster Mage, fresh off the poker table with his indoor sunglasses, I mean, just looks great right now, operating his setup in his laundry room. So he came ready to play for this, and with the Team Fire logo there underneath him, looking to show well with blue-white control.
He might be going shooting after this.
2-2, our score here in week 1. We'll be back on Wednesday night with the Modern Streamers League and some of those matchups as the early turns unleash some mana. Capolo 42 against F. Palouse. It's going to be Matt Hurley against St. Doom. We had a little preview of that when we had the St. Doom on earlier. And Yama Killer and Noble Murloc. We found out tonight Noble Murloc let the kids pick the deck for him. His kids picked the deck. It'll be fun to see what he's coming with. You can access all the decks, even for future weeks, on screen underneath us, and follow along with your favorite players, your favorite team, as we get into week 1 of 10 weeks of the Modern Streamers League. All right, looks like Robcaster Mage is trying to decide on a series of plays here.
Unhappy.
Well, he's got
Pit
on
Viper.
the draw.
Pit Viper.
Yes. Ambush Viper mode here for Snapcaster Mage.
Love it.
Feet Tarmogoyf.
And his expression basically is what happens when Abzan has the mana to cast its spells. I mean, it casts 3 spells on
the
curve, right? Hex Drinker, Tarmogoyf, Lily. All 3 incredibly powerful cards. But look at the turnaround real quick from blue-white.
Now he's going to be in position to execute the instant speed timely reinforcements again if he wants to next turn. And we saw how devastating that was in game 1. It also will help insulate him from down ticks from Lily.
He's got mana for Jace too, so...
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if next turn he kept open his options of either Opt or Path to Exile along with that instant speed timely to set up the ground in front of Jace the following turn.
Well, he's going to have to draw another white mana because he's only got 1 white mana, so he can't cast Path and Timely at on the same turn unless he pulls some white mana.
Yeah, he'll have those options though open with Teferi if he decides to go up, and it looks like he will after going down on this initial deployment to cast Timely at instant speed, and we see him highlighting it now. He's into his stream.
KoDiamonds in the tank, and he's like, he's trying to figure it out. Oh, the Goyf is back. He's not even worried about it. It made his choice for him, right? Made the Timely reinforcements choice for him.
Well, and there's your second white now. Now
Yep.
You don't get it because the Path to Exile went to the Lily. But, all right, I'm sorry, went to the Inquisition.
Right.
So do you start going after Abzan's mana base? I don't know if that's going to be this time of the game that he's going to elect to do that. Got to get the shock land, pay the 2, go for the big Jace, and this might be Tarmogoyf back to the hand again.
Yep.
There goes the Goyf.
Yeah, because he can just ditch his Field of Ruin to the Liliana of the Veil. That's a good play.
Well, and now you're card positive. So Liliana is symmetrical in that both players have to discard, but we're going to see Robcaster Mage with the Jace Brainstorm be drawing at least 2 cards a turn.
Oh, the Maelstrom Pulse with the shields down.
That may have just opened up some lines for KoDiamonds that were about to be shut off if Robcaster untaps with that team. Ooh. Now he's going to go. I'm a little surprised that
he didn't take the second one.
Well, yeah. This is interesting now.
Well,
because you think for sure you're looking at timely reinforcements on this turn cycle.
Right. As soon as Lily makes him discard, that's what he's going to play.
Sure. He can give up one of the Fields of Ruin. He can wait till the end step. And
I'm actually surprised that he just kind of passed to the end of the turn. What if he plays a Thoughtseize or something? I guess,
yeah, you could cast it at instant speed in response to the Thoughtseize.
I guess so, but He's got F6 though, right?
We'll see how he elects to play it. That Teferi needs to go up one more time to bounce something and stay on the battlefield.
But it won't matter because that Goyf is not going to be able to attack through 3 timely reinforcements.
True. And Robcaster, though, not as comfortable as he was in 1.
Brutal.
Yes. I think he's checking the wording to see if he can still cast the timely reinforcements at instant speed with Teferi off the board, which I believe you can because it says until your next turn.
Right.
Once you activate it. So he should still be able to get away with timely here.
Yep. And here it is.
So there goes one. Now he's got the Field of Ruin in play and one more in hand.
He actually could Field of Ruin here and then cast a timely.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's doing.
But his 5 mana for KoDiamonds now enough that this isn't really going to set him back. I think what's your basic land count? And we know that he's already got a Plains in play. And I would think that if KoDiamonds was going to go without a basic land of one of his 3 varieties, it would be Plains. I think we know he's going to have Forest most likely in the deck because he's got Hexdrinker, he's got Tarmogoyf, he's got Scavenging Ooze, he's got these sources that he's going to be able to want to make sure he deploys with green against Blood Moon type decks.
Did you see that move by KoDiamonds though? That line there where he sacrificed his land and took the damage from the overgrown tomb, so he would have the same amount of life as Robcaster, negating the life gain. That was huge.
That was a nice play.
And then look at the snappy off the top. Ooh, couldn't be more clutch.
Sets up the path. There goes the Tarmogoyf. And now you can assault the Liliana. Or is that even worth it to you? I think this will be interesting.
Yeah.
He's going to take that line.
Got to get rid of that Lily. That's his only card on the bat. If you can get rid of that Lily right now, that's it. I mean, obviously he'll sack he'll sack a soldier, but getting that Lily off right now, he's got 0 cards. This is where blue-white wants to be.
I thought maybe you attack for 3. That puts him to 9. Lily goes down. You lose 1. Now you're at 4. Okay, that's not a 2-turn clock still without more pressure on the board.
Well, now she can't get anything without sacrificing her.
Yeah, now if she goes down, it's over. And if she goes up, there's nothing in hand for him to take. So I think managing that Planeswalker on the other side being done well right now by Robcaster Mage. Let's see what KoDiamonds top of his deck gave him. Going to get a chance to set up his lands with the Field of Ruin. Oh, is this going to be another? Oh, this is going to be a chance to get in and attack Rob's lands.
I don't think he's going to. I think he's trying to save Lily, though, yeah? I mean, it doesn't look like he can save Lily, can he?
No, I think he's wide enough. If he would block the Snapcaster Mage, that's still 3 damage at Lily, which takes her board.
That's what you want, right? Everybody at Lily right now, right? Everybody at Lily.
Yeah, I think with this board makeup, that's what you have to do. Yeah, and I like that block. You're going to lose your Planeswalker no matter what your block scheme is. So Robcaster Mage with the uncounterable board wipe in his hand.
He looks good. I mean, it still looks like blue-white is in control right now. He got a Colonnade.
Mm-hmm. Now, what instant speed answers is Abzan, going to have for the Colonnade? I think the easiest one's Fatal Push. It's the most mana efficient. But with just a couple cards in hand, how is this going to play out? And the other thing is, though, Guano, that board sweeper from Robcaster doesn't feel like a trump card in my mind because of you mentioned it, the ability for the cards essentially to go tall for KoDiamonds is a big deal. A large Tarmogoyf, you got a Scavenging Ooze that can get active. he can go tall quickly. Now maximum pressure coming with the Colonnade being activated.
Right, but Fulminator Mage is going to block and then sack to take that out.
And I think if you're Robcaster, you just have to live with that.
I do think it's funny, though, when people tap their mana. Is there a particular reason? Do you know why people do that? They know they don't have a spell to cast, but they're like, you know what, I'm just going to tap it for one anyway.
I think it's just Magic players having to get every drop, every morsel of value squeezed out of every situation. Yeah. So if I could make that mana, I'm going to make that mana.
Yeah. I feel like right now a Siege Rhino would just be the dirtiest.
It would, and that's a miss off Inquisition of Kozilek.
And Rob's laughing. Rob got a kick out of that one.
So 2 cards in hand now for KoDiamonds, and
looks like he's a baseball fan there. And when that happens to me, I definitely go with the Bob Uecker with the whiff.
Love the fact that you're willing to rub that salt in your opponent's wounds right there when that happens. This will be interesting. Now you've got a Kaya on board. I don't think... Does KoDiamonds have Rhino in the deck? I don't think he does.
I don't think he does either, but I'm just saying if you had if he had it, this would be the... Oh, look at that snappy off the top. Yikes, that is just dirt stick right now. He's got so many options.
Clear out the Kaya.
So, chat, Ko just said no rhinos. No rhinos. Man, that snap, I mean, I think that pretty much seals it, yeah? I mean, he's got, what does he have in his sideboard here? Opt. Well, maybe not. I don't know. He's got a couple of ops.
Yeah, there's not a ton of options. If he'd had Cryptic Command or something along those lines there, I'd have gone with you. Now, Ambush Viper mode just off the opt. And he's going to pick up the big Teferi. Now things looking good. That's going to be mana number 8. Along with the ability to hold up either Cryptic Command or go for Teferi plus hold up Cryptic Command.
Yeah, there's not much going on here. Oh, he's doing it. Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, this is just...
Untap the 2 lands.
It's getting ridiculous now. I think it's over.
There was that small window there, Guano, where KoDiamonds had a chance to drop a Haymaker and follow up the Lily when all Robcaster Mage had in his hand was the Timely Reinforcements, the 2 Field of Ruins. Then he wasn't able to maximize Timely Reinforcements, and it felt like that window was when KoDiamonds could jump through it. But that's one of the downsides of the black-green decks, the inability to sort of manipulate your hand, your deck, to find those answers, and he didn't get what he wanted off the top. We saw a key Maelstrom Pulse early in the game that kept him from being carried away by Jace, but the big plays just didn't seem to happen for KoDiamonds after that. He's not dead, but things tilted heavily right now for Team Fire and Robcaster Mage.
Here comes a Cryptic. Oh, that looks like it right there. That's right. Robcaster saying that was his lucky dirty laundry. He's doing the dance. He's doing the I love my dirty laundry dance.
Robcaster Mage takes it down, and he gives the win to Team Fire here on the first night of the Modern Streamers League. Team Fire with wins from Robcaster Mage, Dido on Grixis Shadow, and Cat Light got us started this evening almost 3 hours ago with her display with Blue-Red Phoenix to take down GhostxEmpire on Dredge. Congratulations to Team Fire as they pick up a 3-2 advantage here on night 1 of week 1 of the Modern Streamers League. Highlight, Guano, for you tonight, was there a particular moment or play that stood out as we look at these first 5 matches?
I just love the serious play of all these matches. Now, even if they were disadvantaged or their board state was broken and it looked like they were going to lose, never give up attitude, always playing every card to its maximum potential, trying to get every recurrence, every repetitive, anything that they could use to win, even if they were overmatched. I mean, those Niv-Mizzets were, how many times do you get to see 3 Niv-Mizzets get cast in one game? I mean, that was ridiculous. How do you overcome that? That's too much. But he still kept going. Garrett kept going against those Niv-Mizzets. It was just too much. Loved it. Loved tonight.
Yeah, I thought it was excellent throughout. And I thought that Cat Light got us started with the power of the Blue-Red Phoenix deck. She had the mulligan to 6 in game 2 and kept a 4-lander. And because GhostxEmpire didn't have one of Dredge's most explosive draws, he had a turn 1 Shriekhorn that he was able to get going. But with the key keep of the Surgical Extraction and then the draw for the Anger of the Gods, the Cat was able to utilize a turn 2 Thing in the Ice and really set up a no-win sort of rocking chair right there for GhostxEmpire. And seeing her turn that Mull to 6 4-lander into a win in game 2, I thought was one of the outstanding moments of the night tonight.
I agree. It's been a great night. It's been fun. You have been amazing. Mike was a superstar coming on. It's been a good first day.
Yeah, this has been so much fun just in day one. Wano Maestro, Sean Seacrease with you, and we had the Saint Doom. We'll see him play on Wednesday night. Now, whether it'll be for Team Ice, his original team, or if he'll be traded for that ham sandwich between now and then, we don't know, but we will bring it to you first. ModernStreamersLeague.com is where you can follow everything. The schedule is completely laid out. Weeks 1 through 10. We'll see Constructed Magic weeks 1, 2, 4, 5 here in the first part of the season. 1, 2, 4, and 5. And then week 3, 2 weeks from tonight, we're going to have fun with a singleton week. That's right. It's going to be what the old guys call Highlander Magic, where there can be only one of any non-basic land. That should be a ton of fun. And then in the second half of the season, weeks 6 through 10, there'll be 4 weeks of Constructed. Players can change to a new deck. And then in week 8, this is going to be wild. You've seen Team Unified Constructed Modern tournaments before with 3-player teams, and teams often think about which strategy should we use. We can't share cards. It's going to be Team Unified Modern in week 8 with 10-player teams. This is get crazy. We're going to see some cards played that probably haven't seen the light of day in Modern or Standard or Pauper, if ever. Yeah. I'll be interested to see what some of the more creative minds have come up with. That's a long way away in week 8. There are going to be 10 great weeks of Modern action here on the Modern Streamers League, and it's all being done for charity. Thanks again to Card Hoarder and to Card Kingdom, our sponsors who help us bring you the Modern Streamers League. And check it out. Team Fire is playing for A21 to stop human trafficking around the globe. You can see their story on our Twitch TV page, Modern Streamers League. You can see all the VODs of tonight's matches going up there and on YouTube. And you can check out Team Ice. They checked in with 2 key victories to keep this close. They're playing for the Cancer Research Institute. 10 weeks. Fantastic Modern, and 2 fantastic charities.
It'll be amazing.
Guano, it's been a ton of fun tonight. I'm looking forward to Wednesday. We're going to do it with 5 new players from each team.
It's going to be amazing. I can't wait. I mean, if it was anything like tonight, it's going to be outstanding.
Join us then. Same time. Join us for the Modern Streamers League. We'll have another guest. Cat Light will join us on Wednesday night. 5 new matches. Until then, good night, and thank you for joining us for the first edition of the Modern Streamers League. All right.